the back seat. Check the back seat.
All right, come here.
Check the back seat.
Gets in your head, right? Good. Because every year, dozens of children are forgotten in the backseat of a car by a parent or caregiver. All never thought it could happen to them. But with changes in routines, distractions, or a sleeping child, it can happen to anyone. Parked cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. So get it in your head.
Check the back seat.
A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over. Danced another victim to the crossovers. Crossed him up and sent him down.
Crossover is brought to you by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. Welcome back.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
The last I saw, no, you left before I woke up on Friday morning, so I didn't get to say goodbye to you.
Yeah, I was wondering if you
Kinda
guys were
happened in
going to
my life
wake
before.
up and do the show. It was 5:50. I'm like, "Ooh, all right,
Well, I didn't.
whatever.
So Josh was across the hall from me. I thought I would hear him. Nothing. I got up and you guys were.
Yeah, we got to get out of there.
It was 5:50 and you guys walked by and I was still on the couch.
And then Mr. Odson just got sleepy on the way. He was done by the time we got to the Platte City QT. He was out. See you later. So Connor was just thinking about football and quietly listening to music on the way back.
Thanks for the support of the show.
They have 28 pumps.
Oh, I did listen to you guys. I listened to you guys for like in and out, and then I didn't want to listen to the weird stream ads in the break, so I turn it off sometimes. And then sorry. Our app's great.
28 pumps. There's 28 pumps at the Platte City QT. 27 of them were full yesterday.
Oh, I bet. I bet they had a steady stream all weekend.
A lot of Labor Day travelers.
Maybe people wanted to
popping through.
stay all weekend and watch Tarek Skubal pitch yet Sunday.
Oh, in Kansas City?
They saw him.
It was
pitch very well.
It was very elite. After I flew in, I landed in Kansas City, and I thought it was a 3-hour drive, and I was very happy to find out that the airport's actually 40 minutes closer.
I told you. It's basically next door neighbors to the Platte City QT.
So it was a 2-hour and 20-minute drive,
Yeah.
which was very nice back home, where I listened to my crime podcast.
There are
Nice.
there are some people, and I don't know if it's worth the squeeze, that will drive to Kansas City to fly because they say it's cheaper than Omaha. But they take into account the 2 hours and
So I
20
did that to get a direct flight to New York a couple summers
Okay.
ago on Southwest, and it ended up being pretty convenient.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a bit of a pain in the ass when you get
Yeah.
back and you're like, oh, you gotta drive
Yeah.
now 2.5 hours, but it's great
Did
because
you
Kansas
park-
City Airport is a dream.
Did you park
It's a
in the
beautiful
airport parking or at one of the hotels where you can?
No, I parked it there.
Okay.
I spend the money to pay for the most convenient parking possible. That's one of my things. I'm sorry. It's I park in the garage. I don't care. $15 a day, whatever.
I'll be honest with you.
20.
The cost of parking over at the Kansas City Airport, not bad.
Did you park in the garage?
I parked in the economy parking.
Oh, so you got the bus. You had the parking spot
Yes.
by KCI.
But they do a great job.
Miss those commercials on
Thank you,
Royals
Ryan
games.
Lefebvre. Yep.
They do a great job of picking you up at the shuttle. And
The parking
everything.
spot,
Like
we pick you
there's
up.
actually
No, that's Enterprise.
Yeah, it was actually incredibly efficient, both the pickup and the drop off later. I was very impressed by the Kansas City Airport, man. That's an airport.
I know, man. I told you.
Didn't
Good
they
air- it's good
renovate
stuff.
that a couple years ago?
Yeah, they blasted it out of proportion and then built a
Okay.
new one.
See, I'll say this though about the whole piping in the barbecue smell.
Yeah, what do you
Okay.
think? What's your verdict?
I mean, yeah, you weren't joking.
It's happening.
I did have a typo and said I thought Connor Happer was smoking when he said
I
that
know.
the barbecue, but I meant to write joking.
Joking. It worked out the same.
I will say this though, there is a lot of barbecue spots in that airport. Like there's a good amount of barbecue that
Yeah.
can be had.
Not what I want to eat before going on a plane.
Hell no. I eat
But it
Mexican.
will put you to sleep. So if you get a long flight, you get a long haul. Put to sleep, you just be farting in your sleep the whole time.
Well, it'll be interesting. So the reason that one of the reasons they redid the airport, it needed it, but they have the World Cup
That's right.
next summer.
Yeah, good point.
So how many of those people that are going to land that are new in the country,
They're gonna have to get 35-minute Ubers to the Truman
Yeah,
Sports
That's
Complex.
going to be
but
eventful.
they're going to love eating that barbecue.
Yeah, they are. They really are. So yeah, it's a world city.
It was-
The world
it was
city.
good stuff.
Okay, question here, Joey. You may have been a mascot in your younger days. Why didn't Puddles, when he fell and lost his head in Eugene the other day, why didn't he just crawl over and pick it up instead of sprinting back into the tunnel?
I think it was a smart play.
It's one of those oh no moments, though. He had to run all the way back, just trying to hide his identity.
He knew what was in front of him, though. He knew if he got one step closer to that camera, his identity would be revealed. So he walked in, he walked back the other way or ran back the other way. I thought that was a pro move.
Like, they haven't addressed that, have they, at Oregon? Like, no release
No.
Is there
or
a
anything?
statement?
Or
But
even
it's
like
I
a
don't
funny
think so.
TikTok?
That's a
Don't
bad
think
look for the mascot community, though. I'm sure there are
What?
a lot of higher
His head
ups.
fell off.
There were a lot of people who thought it was a real
Petey.
duck. They were the
And-
ones that were shocked.
That's like when Bonds got popped for steroids. Just kind of one of those things where just really bad for.
You just put Barry Bonds and
There it
Puddles
is.
the duck together.
There he goes.
Look at him.
Get him back in there. Put your head down, young fella.
Yeah, I did because
Wow.
I mean, is Puddles the duck not the Barry Bonds of the mascot community? I mean, is he not?
What do you mean?
Is he not?
Where are
is
we
he-
going?
Is he not the face of the game of mascots? Is he not the most popular and well-known mascot in college football?
So is your comp? Are you saying like everyone knew he was a person, just like everyone knew
Yes.
Barry Bonds was doing steroids?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly,
I got you.
exactly.
Okay.
And but at the same time, you hide under the veil of like that's the Oregon Duck, and the Oregon Duck is a really big deal.
And in
And
both perspectives, we do not care.
We
Barry-
don't.
Barry
We
Bonds, you
don't.
do all the steroids you want, buddy.
Well, the thing is, too-
Puddles, you keep being a human.
yeah, exactly. But on top of that, though, I'm sure for that guy when he was told, hey, you're going to be Puddles the Duck, he called his mom and called his dad and was like, and it was big news. And there was, I'm sure, a lot of congratulations. What an honor.
Yeah, he was probably waiting till his senior year to do
Yes.
that
Yes.
video where he walks out and takes the hat
One,
off.
one picture is Puddles the Duck in the gown, and then the next picture is him with the hat off.
What if that was his first? I doubt they probably put freshmen in that costume, but
No, God, no.
Especially for the first home game.
yeah,
So-
you can't trust that.
How Nebraska works, there are two guys who take the duties as Herbie Husker. And so there's one guy who's the main dude.
Gary hates Herbie.
There's one guy who's the main guy. And then there's like the second guy who's like, I think he might be the Little Red. I think it might be in Little Red if you're number 2.
Mhm.
And then, but sometimes the main guy will be like, hey, I don't really want to go to Indianapolis for Big Ten Media Day. Would you like to go? And then the second guy goes.
I mean, you could really put anybody in there.
Well, they go to training camp.
I know.
They go to training camp and they learn how to. They show the best.
What do they teach them?
The crowds
What do they?
pantomiming, and the.
Yeah, you could do that. You're doing it right now.
Well, there's a certain way you got to move with the uniform. You can't when you put that big costume on. You don't move like a normal. It's kind of prohibiting in some moments.
I think if
to
you
move.
if you
you
or
have to
me
learn to
or
be in the
Gary
suit.
or Joey was assigned to be a mascot for a game, you would not know the difference.
There's a certain walk. There's a certain how you put your shoulders, how you put your elbows. There is a science to it. Yeah, and like
So
We can do
yes,
it.
there is. And I've worn the old Harry Husker. We had the head, because I used to be on the committee that selected the winners and did the whole tryouts and stuff. And so we had access to one of the old costumes, and I had it for a party.
Yeah.
It actually, for the longest time, was in the bottom of Holmes Lake because we rolled it down the hill, just seeing how far it would go.
Of course.
But one year when we were doing the tryouts and they tried out during the spring game, I felt really bad for her. So she walks out of the locker room and immediately kids are like, there's a girl in there. And it
Wow.
was, she was a little bit lighter in the backside. And so it was noticeable that it was not a male, just the way she was
Really?
walking.
I
She,
guess
by the way,
Herbie
was
does wear-
fantastic.
Herbie does wear jeans.
Yes. So immediately these like 4 teenage kids were like, that's a girl in there. And I like, oh my God.
Have you
this
tried
is a
to,
great opportunity. She was fantastic.
I'm sure.
She did not end up winning because that year, and this wasn't too long ago, the 2 guys that were the top 2 were unbelievable.
A couple years ago, when New Herbie was reintroduced to society, everyone, if you see New Herbie, you realize that he has a corn cob in his pocket.
Okay.
Well, what do you think I tried to do? I tried to take the corn cob out of his pocket, just see if it would go. It did not. It's structurally integral to the pants.
I shouldn't make that joke. But
is that a corn cob in your pocket? Or are you just happy to see me?
No, different one.
Oh, okay.
Like,
well, how about
when you see a cop, what should you never do? Should never ever do it when you see a cop.
There's a lot of stuff
do.
But like
shoot a gun or something like that.
Grab his gun. Okay, that's
God no. Yeah,
the number one.
Commit crimes.
Yeah, the number one thing when you see Herbie is don't grab his corn.
So don't grab Herbie's corn.
Yes,
that makes sense, but it's just so inviting.
Hey, is it just screaming?
Herbie's corn?
Does it just scream to you? Grab me.
Kind of. They want to put a sign on there.
Those mascots get abused by kids.
They do.
The stuff that is allowed, like just punching them and pulling on them, and
Brady had some horror stories about being Herbie. So
mascot name revealed.
Speaking of
last year's mascot.
Speaking of Brady, so as we all were watching Bill Belichick last night,
woof,
and Jordan Hudson, who was wearing her cheer ring, the big looks like a Super Bowl ring. Yeah, she was showing that off.
It's cool.
So in the suite with Roy in between them, Lawrence Taylor and Michael Jordan, is that the greatest combo of your top two athletes in your top two sports?
Yeah, they were talking about that during the game because they had nothing else to talk about. And then all of a sudden, shockingly, Kirk Herbstreit's dog shows up and does
it's a bad night. Yeah, when they put a headset on Pete.
The first play I watched was the first play of the second half, and then it goes untouched.
That was bad.
This is a big possession for North Carolina's defense. 75 yards.
And then from then on, it was like, we are not doing the game anymore. We're just going to talk about God knows what. So
talked about Dion a lot.
They did talk about that, and I think North Carolina probably does have the answer. I mean, they could throw in some baseball players too.
I was thinking like KU, Wilt, and Gale Sayers.
Good.
Oh, you're talking about
your best athlete
best college,
from football and basketball, and then put it up against everybody else.
Like, okay, so Auburn, Barkley, and Bo.
Good.
I mean, that's
not better than Michael Jordan. And
no. I think Jordan Taylor are the best combo.
Yeah.
But like, okay, LSU. What about Shaq and Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
Joe Burrow. I guess is Joe Burrow the most LSU football player?
Who would Nebraska be?
I don't know. Eric Piatkowski.
Sue and Ty Lue.
I like that.
Johnny Trueblood.
Yeah. Michigan.
Yeah,
Michigan would have a good one. Chris Webber and Tom Brady.
Yep.
Pretty good.
That'd be pretty. That'd beat most teams. Ohio State. What? Jared Solinger and
D'Angelo.
I would take Jared Solinger.
Really? John Havlicek?
Okay. Yeah. Great call.
Havlicek has the ball.
Havlicek has the ball.
Is Archie Griffin the best Ohio State player of all time? He'd have to be. 2 Heismans?
Yeah, 2 Heismans.
2 Heismans.
That probably does
now,
it.
Florida,
but are we doing off of pro, because like we're thinking
Florida.
Tim Tebow and Al Horford.
Yeah, I was about to say
Joakim Noah.
Horford and Tim Tebow. That's a good one. But that's like a college one. That's like a fun one. That's not like competing with a Lawrence Taylor, Michael Jordan. Now, Clemson, could be interesting.
With who?
Basketball might be a little bit tough for us Omahans.
Because they've had an incredible recent run of success. Oh, you're what?
Except
Georgia.
for Cade Klubnik.
Georgia.
That guy sucks.
Georgia.
Dominique Wilkins.
And Anthony Edwards.
We'll see how the rest of his career plays out.
Oh, sorry.
First in basketball.
Well, it could in the future.
Who's their football player?
Herschel Walker.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
See, that's not a bad combo.
Walker and Dominique Wilkins good. Yes. By the way, Dominique Wilkins better than Anthony Edwards.
What about UCLA?
I want to get that out there. What? Bill Walton?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Probably Kareem. But who in football?
Troy Aikman.
Josh Rosen.
Jonathan Ogden.
Oh.
But Aikman would be
Aikman would be it for sure. But Ogden's a great one. That's a real USC. They got to be
USC basketball.
That's tough.
UCLA. Maurice Jones-Drew.
Bronny James.
Stop it.
Mercedes Lewis.
Stop it.
Jackie Robinson.
Lewis.
Yeah, UCLA could have. Well,
If you expand it out a little bit more.
okay. So if you want to add baseball, then Auburn comes back into the discussion, and they have Barkley, Bo, and Frank Thomas.
That's got to be the 3 greatest combo, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody else is really competing.
Well, I mean,
with that.
North Carolina could say Matt Harvey.
Throw in Matt Harvey. I'm not talking about Qualcomm.
What Washington's would be Isaiah Thomas, not the Hall of Fame version, and Michael Penix Jr.
Michael Penix. I don't know if he's Washington's
I don't think
best of all time, but
probably.
yeah, took him to a national championship game. People forget that.
People do forget.
You know what I did this weekend, guys? I drafted Kyle Pitts.
Really?
Ooh,
Yeah. I
that
think
is
I-
a proverbial under on his
What,
receiving
what,
total every week.
what do you think? What do you think I drafted him in?
The 14th round.
No, it was earlier than that. I was like,
6th round.
I was sitting there in the room. It was,
No, God,
it was
not a
me and
6th
one
round.
other guy. I'm like, I'm doing this.
His average ADP is 142.
Yeah, I took him earlier than that. I took him earlier than that. Let me.
I
let
have
me
a
check.
draft tonight, if you can't tell.
I couldn't tell for the record.
I don't get involved with that stuff.
I picked
Really?
him in the. I picked him in the 11th.
Yeah, that checks. He's your backup,
I was-
right?
oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who's your
He was sitting right there for me. Kittle.
good pick? He's gonna have a good year this year. I think San Francisco. I think I'm drafting all the 49ers.
Whoa, you're buying.
An easy 12-win season for
I might
them.
I might take Christian McCaffrey tonight with the 5th overall pick.
I got him because I picked 10th. That was my
that's-
first pick.
That's a hell of a pick.
But everybody wants to know in everybody's league, what is your punishment? Have you guys decided on a punishment for your league for finishing last?
Yeah, I mean, it's very standard. We have there's a guy in our league named Track, and so instead of the Sacco, we call it the Tracko, and you have to prominently display a life-size cutout of him as he's a firefighter. You have to prominently display it in your house for one entire year. So
That's pretty good.
my run has come to an end, and I have given it up. It now belongs to somebody else because I won that award 2 years ago.
We have gotten rid of
That is
fantasy.
fantastic.
We've
Yeah, it's not bad.
we've
I'm not like public shame and embarrassment. You know, I'd rather live with that inside the walls of my own home. This whole thing about going to a donation bank,
yeah.
yikes.
No, that's crazy. That's wild.
Yikes.
That's wild. Because I drafted Barkley and Barkley got hurt early in the year. I now have a kid running around the world.
Well, you're
That
not
is
going to know
wild.
about it until they turn 18.
That is still insane.
Just don't lose.
Yeah, don't lose. Incentive not to lose.
Dude, I'm the back-to-back Sacco, so I have to figure it out. I have to be better this year.
You do have to be better.
It's going to be embarrassing. Now, like, granted, I'm a Sacco who won 5 games both years. You know, it's not like we were terrible. It's a very competitive league.
It just broke wrong for you. You were close.
Yeah, no, not really. Well, yeah, no. Last year I had ETN, Olave, and Waddle, which were like the 3 biggest busts
Nice.
for the season. We have banned punishments after my punishment. After I did my punishment, they decided that they're no longer going to do fantasy football punishments.
No
for last
kidding.
place.
Bowling is
Interesting.
over.
Yeah, what a hunka. You know
Bowling
what?
is canceled.
Yeah. They were like, wow, that seemed pretty brutal and like hard to do and a little embarrassing. We don't want to do that.
When did you agree? Was that agreed on before the year?
No.
Okay.
No.
So see, that's not good. That's a black eye on your commissioner because like you can't be making up punishments that are specifically tailored to the person who loses.
That's exactly what it was.
That's not right. That's
Well-
not right. Stand up for Matt.
See, it's way better. I could not have done the IHOP thing, the whole go to a pancake house and
Yeah.
each I could not do that. I would be there. I'd probably just sit for 24 hours.
Just bite out your tongue
I
there.
just seriously just hang out. I'd bring
Yeah.
my computer and my laptop and the PS5 and just hang out in IHOP for a
Just
whole
do
day.
a radio show from my house.
Yeah, seriously.
I am so ready for the NFL to be back on Sunday.
2
No,
days.
you don't even have a team.
I don't. That's why it's beautiful for me. I have no stress.
What if you picked a team this year?
I just watch ball.
What if you became a Packers fan this year?
I'm not going to do that. I will not become a Packers fan. I will not become a Chiefs fan. I'm open to basically any other idea.
The
Bryce
Bears?
Young looks good in Carolina.
Yeah, I
He's
kind
running
of
off the
threw.
radar team.
Yeah, I kind of threw my support behind the Carolina Panthers a couple years ago because I really like my favorite NFL player of all time is Steve Smith. I love Steve Smith.
That's a great one.
He's awesome. He
I thought
was
you were
awesome.
going to say Cam Newton.
So like
for a
I
second.
loved those Panthers teams that would just randomly appear in the Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
I sup,
um,
son. I sup.
Exactly. I loved Steve Smith. And so I was like, you know what? Sure, whatever. Everybody's like, what are your favorite NFL teams? So I picked the Panthers, and then I know, like, you can't just do it. It's too late. It's too late for
Become
me.
a Bears fan.
I'm not gonna.
No.
I'm probably not going to
I
become
don't
an
think that's a good
anything
idea.
fan at this point.
I can give you gear.
I don't fit. I'm not Chicago.
No, you're not.
I'm not.
God, no.
I'm not Chicago.
No, you talk too normal.
It doesn't work for me.
Couple of more on the duos. Brian says, what about Texas? Kevin Durant, Ricky Williams.
Ricky.
I would say Kevin Durant for sure. You could either have
DJ Augustine.
Ricky Williams or Earl Campbell. Like,
I
that's
mean,
a-
Texas had a lot of football options for sure.
Texas, that's a good one. Chris says if we're doing all three, LSU wins in a landslide. Shaq or Pistol Pete, Joe Burrow, Paul Skeens.
They throw in Skeens.
Yeah.
I
Not
always got
Warren
a good
Morris.
one.
Easy.
Caitlin Clark and George Kittle. George Kittle maybe not the greatest of all time. Those are just
Okay,
two people that
so
I
if you're
thought of.
just taking two athletes of any kind from one school, you know,
Oh God,
you
that is
throw in some
that
like
is
throw in. You get a couple women's basketball players that get thrown in there.
Nebraska's would be what Jordan Burroughs and
Oh, yeah, it probably
You
is.
throw in Alex Gordon.
no, I would
Who's the most famous Nebraska athlete of all time?
Ooh. Like around here or nationally?
Nationally, like
Sue.
famous.
Sue. It'd be Sue. It'd be
Uh,
Nadam. It'd be
I don't know how
Tommy?
famous he is.
Tommy
Tom-
Frazier?
Tommy definitely not.
No, I think it'd be Nadamakan for sure. I
Why'd you guys immediately say no to Tommy?
don't. He just doesn't have the national because the reason why I say Nadamakan Sue is because
He didn't have
College-
an NFL career.
there you go.
Ah, true.
College football
True.
fans know who Nadamakan is, and NFL fans know who he is.
Yeah,
Like,
in
he's
order to
got
be
a-
famous, you
you
have
got-
to do something
yes,
else.
You have to have legacy on both sides. So I would say
That
that's
makes
why
sense.
Sue. But I think Jordan Burroughs would just be. I mean, he's arguably the greatest American wrestler ever.
David says Jordan Larson and Jordan
Yeah.
Burroughs.
Those would
Jordan Larson internationally is probably, and I mean, state, national, international. I mean, you throw in the Olympic element. Adi would be one, but probably not around here.
Yeah.
You know, it's too long ago.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between accomplishments and famous, right? Like, I think
Yeah, I'm talking famous.
Famous?
I'm talking about famous.
Okay, so this is a good question.
is it Will
Now,
Compton?
hold on. So
Oh dear
Is it
God.
Compton?
It might be.
it might be.
no.
So okay, Rhule. It's ironic that last night there were all those celebrities at Carolina, and they want them to be there. And Rhule earlier in the day talked about he wants
Put
guys
1,000
on the
people on the
sideline.
sideline.
So he wants celebrities like former players.
Yeah, thanks, Dion.
Okay, so take out
Dion Rule.
take out Compton because he played here. Who is the most popular Nebraska fan in this country that is not an athlete that played here?
It's either Bud Crawford,
Or Divine?
not an athlete,
Not an athlete.
Adam
not
But
an
they're-
athlete.
they-
Period.
Well, they could be an athlete, but they're not. They didn't play
Okay.
at Nebraska.
So it's either
It's
either
Bud
Bud,
or
Crawford
it's-
or what's her name, Gabby Union.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's Bud though.
Do we have enough people to put on the sidelines
no,
that are
we
not
don't.
former
No.
football
We
players
don't
that are
think so.
celebrities?
We don't. Not eight. Not
Tech 9,
Not eight. Like
Can you put Danny Woodhead on the sidelines?
yeah, Brian Windhorst.
311.
Brian.
He's an Ohio State fan.
Yeah.
Get Brian Windhorst down there.
I mean, he lives in Omaha.
It's like I
right?
hung out with
Yeah,
LeBron
but he's,
James 20
yeah,
years
he's a
ago.
diehard Ohio State fan. Andy Roddick, can we bring him back?
Andy Roddick, who
If
lived
Andy
here for
Roddick
10
was on the
seconds.
sideline
That'd be incredible.
this Saturday night, would people recognize him?
Would no, I don't.
you would need to
no,
start.
I'm afraid not.
You would need
If he
to
was with Mandy Moore like he was like 20
Yeah.
years ago.
Can you
yes.
get Wade Boggs to show up to a game?
You were born in Omaha. Can you just kind of can you come back to Nebraska?
It'd be. I mean, the celebrities you probably would have would be like the people.
Oh!
that Rhule. Like I bet that Rhule knows famous people from New York and the New Jersey area.
But there's
That
no
are
real
friends
like
with him.
famous people that hang out during the summer and all of a sudden they pop in Rhule's office.
So,
God.
Joel says Larry the Cable Guy, who is probably
Yeah.
near the top of that list.
But he's one of those guys. He's at every game.
Yeah, he's just a fan. This is a normal. He's just Larry.
He's Dan.
Yeah.
Oh, that's his.
That's his name.
Oh, I didn't know that.
His
I
name is
thought-
Dan.
I
Well, you
thought-
got to be close personal friends. You'll know him.
I thought Larry was his first name, and then the cable guy is just like
His name is Dan.
I thought the cable guy was his middle name, and then he had
Connor is right. If you've ever been like to his golf event or anything, you've been around him. Like there are people that are really close to him that they never call him Larry. It's always Dan.
Dan.
Ooh,
and if you don't know that he has like that's his real name,
sure,
people are like, huh?
His name is Dan.
If we're talking about like
he's not a cable guy at all.
Famous Nebraska like people tied to the university and whatnot from a male perspective, do you think it would be T.O.? Do you think T.O. is more famous than any of the other athletes that have played male?
Maybe he is kind of the face of.
He's been out of the spotlight now. Like he's older and has been coaching, and he hasn't, been the AD.
If I say Tom Osborne, people immediately.
Yeah, you think of Nebraska football in the 90s, the first thing you think of is Tom Osborne.
I wonder how many other colleges are like that, where it's like their most famous male athletic figure would be their head coach.
Oh, I bet there's a lot of them. Joe Pa.
Joe Pa for sure.
Bobby Bowden.
Is Saban better than any Alabama?
Coach K.
Yeah.
Really? Coach K over
Tom Izzo?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's past Judd. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not like more impactful probably than
I'm
most
just saying,
people,
like, yeah,
he's kind of the face of it.
Yes.
Like because Duke has had
Saban's
so many.
Saban's getting more famous.
So that's
with every loss Kalen DeBoer has.
I was going to say,
Saban's like,
is Saban
better?
Is Saban past any current Alabama football player ever? Is he more famous than Joe Namath?
Yes.
Yeah.
National championships.
Yeah, I guess so.
But back to your original question, I think Will Compton is the most visible and popular Nebraska fan.
He is.
He just may be.
He without a doubt is.
He just may be.
And how did we not run into him on Thursday?
Yeah,
we didn't. Well, the three
Some
of us
people didn't have
screwed.
sideline access.
The hell.
By the way, Pedro writes in. He says, "Hi guys, the leader of the Grand Funk Railroad lives in Omaha. Get him to the game."
I don't.
Whoa.
Really?
That's what it says. I don't know. I can't verify that information. I don't know if that's true or not.
The Grand Funk Railroad?
That time they were very, very popular.
I don't know what that is.
That is
a rando.
Remember
we had this one crossover where we were talking about people that live in Omaha that you don't know, that you go, hey, wait a minute. Lady Gaga is for a time period living in Omaha?
What's that guy what's she doing here?
Is that like a gentleman's club, the Grand Funk Railroad, or what is that? Or is it an actual railroad? I don't.
It's a
band.
It's a band.
Oh, okay. I had no clue.
Lead singer? That should have given you a clue.
No idea. I thought it was like a Union Pacific company for a second.
Warren Buffett.
Oh,
we haven't brought
up How did we forget about turned 95?
Warren Buffett.
Can we get a tackle?
Birthday, Warren. Get a tackle?
D-tackle, please.
You want a D-tackle to be one of the most famous people?
No, I want.
You want Warren to pay
Warren
for
Buffett to pay for a defensive tackle.
Oh, you want a big dude clogging up the middle?
Yes, yes, I do. I want.
Those guys don't grow on trees.
I want a meaty center. That's what I want.
Only go to LSU.
Jamari Butler. How did he play?
I don't know. Bayor looked okay last night.
I was gonna do a thing where I looked at how all the transfers did, but there was just so many of them.
Dante Dowdell.
Hey, he scored a 79-yard touchdown.
Hell yeah.
Did Borkircher do anything?
Oh, I didn't look at Texas A&M. Hey, somebody who I know people focus on James Williams. Spawn Thompson looked pretty good.
Okay.
Really?
All right.
Yeah, he looked a lot.
Really?
His body looks different than he did when he was at Nebraska.
Borkircher, 2 catches for 17 yards.
I do want to say this. A lot of people were getting on James Williams because he was missing Ty Simpson over and over and over again. But man, is he a really good asset to have when you're at the late end of the game and you know that they're going to be throwing every time? James Williams actually is very useful in that situation because he just bends and just gets around guys at the top of the rush.
Good take.
He's a pretty damn good pass rusher. Can't do anything else, but he's a damn good pass rusher.
Put him in there on third down.
Tony Terrence and Coop all had a good weekend.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
They look great.
All right. Have a good show.
Thank you.
Yeah, Welcome back.
Have a great day.
Can't wait for your takes on the Zips.
The weather looks great this week. I was actually looking at them this morning, and I realized that their quarterback was Ben Finley.
Yes.
He transferred from NC State, and then he randomly spent a year at Cal, which I had no idea. Do you know they ran the ball for 89 yards against Wyoming?
Yeah.
That's not very good.
No.
That's not very good.
Great take, Connor.
Yeah, not very good. Watch out for Connor Kravak. Watch out for Connor Kravak. He had a catch for a yard in that game.
Is he the
Touchdown.
only one who had a catch?
No, there's a few people with some catches.
I think we'll spend more time this week reminiscing about a game against Akron that wasn't played than actually a game that will be played.
I think
7
so,
years
too.
ago from yesterday.
Yes.
A lot of time this week and next week.
That was a fun night.
All right. See you guys later. That's
Yeah.
the crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It is Tuesday. We'll start things off next.
That's the crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone. It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's the Connor Happer Show. here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer and Joey Colbert
Good
today.
morning.
Good morning, Joey. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. We're excited to get your football takes.
It's good to be here.
You are very excited about the maps that are coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow around 11 or noonish, just depending on when 506 Sports feels like making that announcement.
I was gonna say, people freak out. They love the maps, and don't get me wrong, I love looking at the maps and the broadcasters and where everyone's going and stuff like that. But I also don't really care that much because my NFL watching is just I watch all the games.
Yes, I got the Sunday ticket.
Yeah, I just watch on Red Zone, and that's you could argue that I guess I don't watch all the games, but I just watch on Red Zone no matter what. I don't care what channel anybody is on. But we got a Thursday game this week. We got a Friday game this week. We got a Monday game this week. Many, many Sunday games. That's right. Our first full week of football is here. The sickos out there are wondering, where is my Maction? When does Maction start? And I will say probably in like a month, because that's usually when
it'll get there in a month.
We will
be patient.
We will indeed get there. Today on the show, it's Tuesday. Alan Bell will join us coming up at 11:30. We'll, of course, preview week 1 of the NFL with him. That's the lineup, powered by the Referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. We'd love to hear from you all, 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. And a reminder that each week we are giving out a $100 gift card to Sky Bar and Grill at Prairie Flower Casino. And you could enter to win now at 1620thezone.com. You can email Connor at 1620thezone.com or Jay Colbert at nrgmedia.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. We'll get to those emails today. And you could tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer, on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed.
And my Twitter account's right below my name if you're watching on the Zone
at
TV.
Joey Warcola.
Yes, there you go, Connor.
I almost said Warchola, but it's not. It's
it happens. It happens.
All right, so hit up Joey with all your schedule questions.
Or NFL ref questions, because I'm on NFL ref watch this week.
We were wondering. I was wondering out loud before the show, just like when a random team plays, or no, I was wondering about the Packers, and I was like, oh, they play Monday, right? And Joey's like, definitely not. Sunday, 3:25 CBS.
Jim Nantz and Tony Romo,
and they play against Detroit. So I was corrected immediately. It's good to have Joey around just to have all of our ducks in a row.
Don't forget, 253 days until the release of 2026.
Wow.
I got all the info on how the schedule will be determined after these 272 games.
We cannot. We're not doing that. We're not skipping ahead to next season
yet.
We are not
doing that.
We have the football to enjoy.
In case some people wonder.
We love the schedules.
Want to make the plan for next year.
We love the schedules, but we do have the football to watch.
Yes, we do.
In the meantime.
Indeed, we do.
I think, honestly, I kind of go about it like I go about the rest of my life. I'm like, oh, who's playing each other today? This is kind of fun. And I kind of did the same thing with college football this weekend. I was like, oh, these guys are playing. These guys, I knew all the big games. But, we got this little fun, funky matchup. I'm looking forward to some of the same, although the week 2 slate in college football, not so good.
Yeah, not the greatest.
No, we were hit with the barrage in week 1, but some underwhelming games. We'll talk about a few of them. College football reaction, overreaction is coming up in the noon hour. That's right. We have rebranded from MLB reaction, overreaction into college football reaction, overreaction. And then I think this is going to turn into maybe just football overreaction or NFL reaction, overreaction coming up next week after the NFL gets under the way. Also today, I have accumulated, this is your second consecutive month, Joey, where you're going to be in for the top poll questions of the month.
I did not realize that until I saw the rundown this morning.
It is September. People forget
That's
that.
True.
We have the entire month of August to look back on. And so I have compiled the list for our top 5 poll questions of the month of August.
Nice.
We'll do that today at 12:45. Elsewhere, Matt Rhule speaks yesterday. He sets out to dispel many, many, many narratives, one way or the other. We'll hear a bunch actually from Matt Rhule today, because there was, he always he watches the game again and he sees things a little bit differently. He also knows what is getting talked about out there, how the fan base feels. He's got his finger on the pulse, things like that. So we'll see what he liked, didn't like, likes, doesn't like about how people are reacting to Nebraska's 1-0 start against Cincinnati. Do you think this is how Bill Belichick wants to live his life? Is a question.
That's a good question.
I wonder. I wonder how long he's in for this. At the very most,
It does not look
at
good.
the very most, just a few more months. It seems like, but maybe even earlier than that. We'll look back on Lee Corso's final show. It was as good as it could have been, and then we'll do this. We'll re-rack this in a couple minutes. You watch the rest of the college football slate over the weekend. We felt the way we felt about Nebraska's performance on Thursday, a little bit underwhelming. And you come back and you try to unpack it all. I thought they'd be further along, yada, yada, yada. At least they got a win, whatever it might be. And then you watch the games on Saturday. And my general takeaway from all those games was, this is sloppy. Sloppy all around.
Pretty much 90% of the games were that way.
Especially as it pertains to quarterback play. So we'll see how you feel now that we've had some distance from game number 1. And there's going to be a lot of that this week because Nebraska plays Akron on Saturday night and they play Houston Christian next week. So we got a couple weeks here where, you really get to find out what's real and what's not real. Michigan looked generally pretty solid on Saturday night.
They got fooled a few times, but they did what they needed to do.
They actually got some good quarterback play from their freshman who looks pretty solid.
Yeah.
And we'll of course zoom in on Alabama's season opening loss. Things are getting toxic in a hurry in Tuscaloosa.
Didn't take too long.
No. It did not. So we will dive into that. A text from the 402 on the text line. Hey Connor, do you think Gus Johnson had a good Labor Day weekend? I love how this is taken off. First of all, because I do love doing the Gus Johnson impression, but when he said it, when he said the thing that I always say, Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, and the All-American, he called her the AAG, Jenny Taft, the All-American girl. I was sitting there watching that, getting ready to watch Ohio State and Texas. And I kind of got chills, I don't think much of Gus as a broadcaster, but he hits the bullet points every time.
Yeah.
You know what he's going to say, right? So I imagine he enjoyed his Labor Day weekend greatly.
Who would win a scream off on a broadcast? Either Gus Johnson or Joe Tess.
He wasn't in peak. Gus wasn't in like peak Gus form, like except for pregame and the build up to it.
Yeah.
But Joe Tess is on one right. I don't know what he's doing with his unbuttoned shirt and all those things, his chain. I'm not sure what's going on there, but Joe Tess is letting it fly over on the ESPN family of networks.
I think they call him Miami Joe now.
Miami Joe, it would be a good way. He looks like a Miami guy. That's for sure. All right. So plenty to come during the show. And of course, we would love to hear from you all. Get in touch with the show any way you'd like to. I'd like to get a couple emails today on the Equitable Bank inbox. People already. So Seth wrote in from earlier, just another dispatch from the Platte City QT. He says, my son and I went down to Kansas City for the Royals game on Sunday. We stopped at the Platte City QT around 11 a.m. It was all caps popping. Great vibe. It's a great vibe.
I like to hear it.
It was a little sleepier of a vibe when we got there at about 6:30 on Friday morning
on the way back.
On our way back to Omaha. That was a different story. All right. I want to hear from you guys in the show today. Joey and I are keeping you company until 2. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. What I always say before the season, we spent all offseason counting down to the first game. And then it's good to keep perspective. Here's the perspective. Game 2, after game 1 happens, is just a week away. That's right. You get to re-rack it and do it again for 11 consecutive weeks, or 11 out of 12 weeks, whatever it might be from then on out. So get ready to go. After the hangover from Kansas City, hopefully had a long weekend to clear it out. Nebraska and Akron, Saturday night in Lincoln. And if you'd like to join us, John and Michael will be broadcasting live the pregame show from the Blur Party tailgate. We would like to get you in there. 1620thezone.com. Enter for your chance to win 2 tickets to the ultimate Blur tailgate party for the Akron game on Saturday in Lincoln. Should be a fun, festive move, and John and Michael will be throwing takes at you for a couple hours before the game
for 2
starts.
hours.
Excellent stuff. Last night in Chapel Hill, Bill Thrill. I don't think they're going to want to call it Chapel Bill anymore. TCU.
Bill Nil. I don't know.
Yeah, Chapel Nil. Nice. I like that. TCU 48, North Carolina 14. Wasn't that close, honestly. It was. And then there was people proclaiming on Twitter after North Carolina's first offensive possession that Bill Belichick has not lost a step, and this is it. They might have a national championship contending offense. Some people said that.
It was like that for the first 5 minutes, and then
it was not like that after that. So I have a question regarding this, and I mentioned it a couple minutes ago. Do you think this is how Bill Belichick wants to live his life? He has become, in a very short period of time, just a giant punchline, right? And I don't know how people used to view him, but winning does a lot for you, and winning over that long of a period of time does a lot for you as the coach of the Patriots. And he takes a year off, and he ends up down at North Carolina. Nobody's exactly sure what's going to happen. And maybe, I don't know, maybe they win 5 or 6. I don't know what their expectations are for that team, but it looked horrendous. They looked unprepared. They looked uninspired. The whole thing was kind of a sideshow. Not very Bill Belichick, right?
No, it wasn't.
That's not how we came to know Bill Belichick. So in the aftermath here, and as they continue to lose games, remember they have UCF coming up in a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. That'll be a fun watch for everybody. He's just a giant punchline. He quit the NFL. He goes back to college. And like I said, the whole thing is a sideshow. He's got a 12-year-old girlfriend. He hired a bunch of weirdos. And when you see Bill Belichick now, what do you think? It's not the same thing. And I'm not saying his legacy is tarnished or anything like that. Like, nobody can take away what he did in New England for all of those years. He's one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time. So that is not the point that I'm trying to make here. But in the here and now, when you look at Bill Belichick, who, by the way, does not have to do this.
No, he
does not have to. It doesn't have anything to prove to anybody. Maybe with the exception of people keep saying that it was Tom and not me. I don't think that, I wonder if that drives him. I don't know. I wonder why he's doing this in the first place.
Probably saw good reviews on the North Carolina retirement.
Maybe he's like, yeah, sure, I'll coach him, whatever. Pay me a few $1 million and we'll do this thing. But he's a football guy. This has got to be hell on him. This whole thing is a sideshow.
Yeah.
So when I look at Bill Belichick now, that's what I think. I think he's a meme. He's a joke. He's fodder for the internet to make fun of him at this moment. It's really odd, and it's kind of funny. TCU absolutely buried them last night. It was not close.
No.
Their football team could not have looked worse.
It got so bad to the point where ESPN had that graphic showing the last completed pass from their starting quarterback, which it was like a 2-hour time.
Yeah, that's right.
And it seemed like
last completed pass 8:17 p.m. or whatever it was. Yeah, that was great.
Max Johnson was the backup quarterback, and he just came back from his leg injury from last season, and he looked better right off the bat. He threw as many completed passes as their starting quarterback. I keep forgetting his name.
Gio Lopez.
Gio Lopez.
But he comes in by the time the game is, already.
That's
it's already finished off. And so the atmosphere, I'm telling you, man, like I turned on that game and the first play, they're coming back from a break and Herb Street and Reese Davis were like, all right, this is a huge drive for them defensively. And the guy goes untouched for like a 70+ yard touchdown run. It's not like he was like super fast or anything like that. TCU did, but maybe we should be giving more respect to TCU. They have a good quarterback, I think, but holy smokes.
Well,
man.
he's an experienced quarterback. And in the first half, I know you turned it on until the second half, but they kept targeting Dwyer, their receiver. He wore number 7. He almost tallied 100 yards on the field. They kept going after him, and he cooked that Tar Heel defense.
So I don't know what goes on in his head, Chapel Bill. But he seems like the kind of guy to me who would hate just the idea of this whole thing is for show. This whole thing is for clicks and to sell merchandise and to make UNC better as a brand or whatever it might be. He seems like the kind of guy that would detest that. And unless they play good football, it is only that. So I can't imagine that he's enjoying this, and I can't imagine this is how he wants to live his life. Right? It's so odd to me what has happened. And none of it is very Bill Belichick.
No,
from what we've come to know him as, before, and now he's very much in the public eye. He's the face of a college football program. There's the whole girlfriend thing that will never go away.
Everything leading up, just finding out that he was dating her, and then the CBS interview that he had when she was in the building, and then pretty much everything else, his name, and then the debates on why the Patriots were so dominant and successful. Right. Was it Brady or Bill Belichick?
Of course, it all goes right into that immediately, and that's what it's going to be. I mean, for North Carolina, so like I don't know. I just can't imagine he wakes up and he's like, okay, I guess we'll do this whole sideshow thing again. But maybe the money is good enough to where he's like, yeah, this is great. I'll just put this in my pocket. But that guy's got money. He's doing okay. The legacy is, I don't know. It just takes on a little bit of a different light now, to be quite honest with you, because this is not going to be good based off of how it was in week 1.
Yeah, I'm just curious if he's willing to do this for another year, or if North Carolina's willing to have him as their head coach going into next season. Will we see him in Dublin, Ireland, as they face the Horned Frogs again? Will this be the same result?
The odds say no. Like, Dion was a sideshow a couple of years ago. That whole thing. What are they going to do? What's this going to look like? And then they won.
Yeah, they won games.
They beat TCU right out of the gate, and that gave it some like legitimacy. It's like, okay, well, we have to not only pay attention to this because it's a sideshow, but we should pay attention to this to see how it goes. Now, if you take out the football part, if they're going to be this bad, I mean, that's all it is. It's just for show at this point. This is the program that cares about clicks, not Dion. This is the program that cares about clicks.
Well, they're non-traditional football programs, so that makes sense.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But personally, if I'm a North Carolina football fan and I've enjoyed North Carolina football for a long time, I'd be more okay with going 7-5 or 6-6 in a very normal and regular way in trying to be competitive, rather than doing this whole sideshow thing, investing all the money, changing the very core of your program, right? Because like when you hire a celebrity coach, which is a thing now, when you hire a celebrity coach, you turn all the reins over to that person. You turn all the reins over to that person, and your face of the program is that person. Colorado was fine with doing it with Dion, and it's been fine, if not better than what their history recently would show. for Belichick, I mean, the expectation and the standard is exactly the same. Like they're not expected to be a super good program, but man, if they're not competent, then
it's going to be a long season.
Exactly. All right, quick timeout. We'll jump into a few of the things that Matt Rhule had to say yesterday. What's he up to? Comments on the left tackle, the running back rotation, and thinking that every game is going to be 17-16. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back. 11 o'clock hour, the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Joey Colbert with you today. Got a couple emails here from the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. Here is John Belichick. If things don't turn around for UNC, do you think he'll stay the entire year?
What is his contract?
Well, remember his buyout went down quite significantly on June 1st.
Okay.
And I believe, I don't know what the number is off the top of my head, but it made it much more manageable basically for him to get out whenever he wants. Like, so we'll readdress that question basically exactly in college football reaction, overreaction a little bit earlier. But like, I do think the line, the over under for how long he's there is basically the day after the season ends. Is it earlier or before? Or is it, I'm sorry, is it earlier or later? Is it before or after? The day after the season ends, if you were to If you were to guess right now, is he there on that day? Or will he leave after that point? And then we got an email from Chris on the Equitable Bank inbox. Just kind of slightly out of nowhere, but not really, because it's football season and people are asking questions about Nebraska football. Is Dylon actually any good? Is the question from Chris in the Equitable Bank inbox. Okay, overreaction, probably, but is he even good? I mean, as a 5-star quarterback, ever look more pedestrian than he does? Let me get to that in a second. Is he the most just average superstar I've ever watched play? Can he step into a throw and fire a rocket shot down the field just once? I'm so tired of watching him float everything. So I'm not far off from you on that last point, Chris. Like I wish he would step into some things, and I do think he'll be allowed to do that a little bit more this year. But yes, from the first game, it was really difficult for them. Now, Matt Rhule yesterday at his press conference, as he would, take it with a grain of salt, praised Rhule for his kind of poise and maturity. I think there was a couple times, and we talked about it on Friday, that he wanted to take shots downfield, and he wanted to kind of open up the offense a little bit, and Cincinnati just wouldn't allow it. So you do have to give the other team credit in that regard, but it's still a wait and see here. And to the question of, has there ever been a 5-star quarterback who's looked more pedestrian? Yes, many.
We've seen it everywhere.
Did you watch Arch Manning on Saturday? I wouldn't even call that pedestrian. That may have been just straight up bad from him. Now,
really bad.
People are asking the question, is he just bad? It'll get better for him, just like it'll get better for all the young quarterbacks. I do think, Dylan Raiola, getting compared to all these, major guys nationally, he has a little bit of a leg up on a lot of them because he played last year. He's got some experience under his belt, and I think that experience really paid off on Thursday. I mean, just the poise that was needed to not break loose from the plan and not, just continually over and over and over and over again, take what the defense is giving you. I think that's a good maturity step, I think, for Dylan Raiola. But yes, you want to see it be more explosive and you want to see him rip a couple. I'm with you. And the good news is Nebraska plays Akron and Houston Christian in the next, 12 days or so here.
A couple scrimmages before that Michigan showdown.
Yeah, I think you'll continue to see improvement. I'm not worried about Dylan. I'm not really worried about Dylan. But if the time comes where we have to be worried about Dylan, then so be it. All right. So, like I said, as always, would love to hear from you guys on the show. Got a few clips here from Matt Rhule, Joey, if we're ready to play some video here. A couple of the pressing questions or areas of concern coming off of Thursday from the fan base. And remember, Matt Rhule is very, very well aware of what the narratives are. He knows what's being said about his team. He also knows what he saw on tape, and most people don't go back and watch the game a second time or study it the way he does. Obviously, it's his team, and he knows it very well. But this is coming from the perspective of, I know what's out there. I know what the narratives are, and here are some of the big ones that keep popping up. So, thought number one, the running back rotation. Why did Emmett Johnson get 32 touches in this game and 25 carries? And we saw just little tiny pieces of Mekhi Nelson and Isaiah Mosey, who they talked up all the fall camp. What happened with that, and why did it work out that way? Here's Matt Rhule yesterday.
I wasn't happy with it. Dana was like, "Hey, he made the call," so I let my coordinators coach. I wanted to get Isaiah and Mekhi in, but once Dana said to me, "Hey, coach, I made that call," I said, "Okay, cool." Emmett was hot. We went with Emmett. We'll have to get Isaiah we'll have to get Mackay and we'll have to get Quentin in the game more. Mackay had a great run that he cut back and got vertical, and unfortunately we missed one block, or else it might have gone for a ways. So I'm just biding my time with those guys. But I wanted to play them more. But, Dana was feeling it. He went with what he went with, and that's his call. So I was good with it once he said that. So, but that won't be the plan moving forward. I don't think. I think we'll have to play more guys.
Okay. So he brought up something kind of interesting. That's Dana's call. I let my coaches coach, and then he sort of stammered. That's that. I think there were 7 that's Dana's call. That's Dana's call. I didn't like it though. So and it's our job to know about the narratives and what people are talking about as well. And in a lot of cases go against those too. So, I see a little bit of people making this out to be like, oh, is there some sort of what's going on between Rhule and Dana Holgerson? Like, is Rhule having a tough time letting go or whatever it might be? Let me say this. This is an example of healthy offensive coordinator head coach relationship. In my mind, this is an example of healthy offensive coordinator head coach relationship, or coordinator to head coach relationship. You think back over the years, and it's especially here in some cases, that hasn't always been healthy, to the point where the coaches just stepped in and said, "Here's whether it's Bo saying we're going to run it 20 consecutive times, sorry, Tim Beck, like this, we are running the ball today, whether you like it or not. This offense is mine. I'm the head coach, and my ass is in the jackpot here. So we are running the ball, and we're giving it to Amir Abdullah." Or whether it's Scott Frost being sad about having to give up control and step into more of a CEO, quote unquote, role, and things aren't going very well against like North Dakota. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to call some plays, and this is my deal. Matt Rhule, although he might not like it. And by the way, I like that he says out loud, look, man, I think we need to mix some more guys in there. Now, also remember this. We said it in the 1620, the pregame show from the Blur Tailgate on Thursday. If you think about this in a 3-game stretch where Nebraska has Cincinnati, Akron, and Houston Christian to start off, and you think about the running backs and their carry share throughout that 3-game stretch, this one, the one that happened on Thursday against Cincinnati and Kansas City, that was obviously the most important one, obviously the toughest game, and therefore obviously the game in which Emmett Johnson was going to have a higher carry share in that game, I thought, and we talked about it before the game. So if you want to get Mackay Nelson and Isaiah Mosey some more reps and some more experience and some more carries during the game, maybe that game wasn't exactly the right game to do it. If I'm Rhule, that's probably what I say yesterday, instead of like, hey, I didn't really like that. But like I said, I think this is a very normal head coach to offensive coordinator interaction. Like, it is the head coach's responsibility to think about the big picture. It is the head coach's responsibility to think about the long-term development track of players. And it is the offensive coordinator's responsibility to put the right players on the field to execute the plays. And it's the position coach's job to elevate the right players so that the offensive coordinator can run his offense. Like, that's how it kind of works. Boom, boom, boom. And I don't know that we saw any, I don't know that we saw anything different from what we thought we were going to see, outside of maybe we thought the game would be a little bit more easier going for Nebraska, and they would have a better time in the ground. So therefore, you'd be able to give Mackay Nelson and Isaiah Mosey at that backup running back position a little bit more lower leverage carries. Because face it, if they were coming into the game, it was high leverage, because especially in that second half, that game was pretty much all high leverage. Nobody ever really separated. Nebraska had a chance to separate. They never separated. So given all that stuff, and you combine all that into one, I don't. First of all, like I said, I don't think it's going to work out where it's going to be that severe going forward. Where Emmett's going to have 32 touches, and the rest of them are going to have a combined like 3. And then the game flow and the game script sort of dictated that you have your best players out there, maybe more so than we thought. So while I am still concerned about Nebraska's lack of depth behind Emmett Johnson, I am not approaching it from the standpoint of, hey, if you give Emmett Johnson 30 carries every game, you're going to murder him. You're going to kill him. He's not going to get 30 carries every game.
No.
But make no mistake about it, he is the only dependable guy in that room.
And Nebraska gets an opportunity to see how the other guys play out with these next 2 games with Akron and Houston Christian coming to town. You'll get to further evaluate that depth.
So I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that reasoning from Matt Rhule, and I think it makes a lot of sense how it played out, honestly, on Thursday night. So let's see here. We got some responses to that. Jeff writes in, and he's right about this on the text line. Just frustrating to see almost every team this weekend bring in transfer running backs and had success. Yeah, people saw Charmar on Saturday night, and or Marty Brown on Saturday night, and he looked good. He scored against Notre Dame, and everybody's got one. Totally. If you are going to be mad about this, your anger should be placed probably in the fact that Nebraska ended up falling short in that category, which, for the record, we were mad about all summer long. I eventually gave it up because it was bad for my mental health to be worried about it every single day. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm giving in. Whatever. They're going into the season with one running back that they could trust. Fine. And by the way, they are getting Quentin Ives back this week.
Well, it was tough to see Dante Dardell score that 79-yard touchdown run against Toledo when he's on Kentucky.
I mean, running backs that, you see backup running backs have success all across the country, or at least the guy that they think is going to be quote unquote next. They think really highly of both of those guys for the like they actually do. It's not just lip service. I just don't think they're ready now. So you do have to find spots where you could get them in there. And it'll be a little bit easier in these next 2 going forward. But you're right. I mean, it's one thing that Nebraska didn't address over the summer, and it played out on the very, very first night of the season. Another thing that played out on the very first night of the season that we were a little bit concerned about was the defensive line. What happened? It's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit lighter. It's more movement. They're doing a lot of stunts and twists. Guys get out of running lanes and stuff like that. So it didn't look great. Cincinnati ran it for 200 plus. Now, a lot of it was the quarterback, and you're going to hear Matt Rhule talk about this. How about the defensive line, Coach Rhule?
Anytime you give up 200 yards rushing, you're not going to be real happy. With that being said, a lot of it, 96 of it was the quarterback, and a lot of that was, pass rush, and so we'll have to, him not even design runs, him getting out and running. So we'll have to work on that. I think we talk a lot about it, but I don't know if we did a good enough job as coaches of doing it. You're facing Dylan and TJ and Jalen. You're facing a lot of guys who are, pocket pro style quarterbacks. So TJ can move, but the holy grail of things that most defensive coaches don't like, or an excellent outside zone team, a tempo team, and a running quarterback. And Cincinnati is all 3 of those, and Coach Satterfield has been for a long time. So, when you face those types of teams, you build your team differently. You're a 3-4 team. You play with 4 eyes. You make the ball run to the sideline. We don't face a lot of that in the Big Ten. So it was a tough matchup for us in that regard. But we have to play better. We have to get off blocks better. We have to level out our rush better. And, we saw it on tape. We tried to adjust it during the game. And, like even watching last night, Notre Dame and Miami. Notre Dame kept hurting Miami with the quarterback draw, yet Miami continued to rush. And then at the end of the day, they got there. So we'll have to pick our spots a little bit better. But it wasn't like they were, their running backs didn't have 100 yards rushing or 106 yards maybe, So we'll have to. It wasn't the traditional run game; it was the quarterback. And I thought he was a heck of a player. I walked right up to him after the game. I knew before the game, I saw a lot of scouts, like higher up guys I know, and they were all there to see him in the tight end. And then after the game, I told him they didn't have 100 yards rushing in the first half. I mean, 100 yards of offense in the first half. I don't believe. I don't know what the number was. You guys would know. And so they did a nice job of adjusting and just saying, hey, we're going to run this guy to try to get a win. And so we have to do a better job up front. But I thought some guys did some really good things, and some other guys, will have to make some improvement this week.
There's Matt Rhule talking about his defensive line performance. If we distill it down to these two issues, right? The running back depth, and you lost a lot along the defensive line. You have a lot of changeover in the defensive line. Can you trust those guys? Remember, those were two of the big talking points leading up to the season and in the offseason. Rightfully so, right? And they both showed up on opening night. If we are distilling it down to these two topics, and you'll be going off of what Matt Rhule just said, I am more on board to I can get more on board with what Rhule just said there about the defensive line rather than what did or what didn't happen with the running back situation. Like, I think, he's right. It was, and these are things that we knew before the game. We talked about it before the game. So I did not, and if you listen to the show on Friday, my immediate reaction was to not be as stressed out about the defensive line as some others were. They creased a couple runs. They were doing a lot of sideline to sideline early, but for the most part, Nebraska, I thought there was probably the first quarter-ish of the game. I thought the defense was probably just a little bit jittery, and then they settled in, and then the hose got completely turned off after that. And then in the late third and fourth quarter, that's when they were like, okay, hey, we got to make something happen. So Sorsby, you got the green light, man. Go. And the defense, shut down in the passing game, and all of a sudden they're covering, and then some lanes get creased for Sorsby to get out and make some plays, and he end up running for 96 yards. So I think a lot of that is buried in the matchup. He's right. They're not going to see a lot of that in the Big Ten. That doesn't make it, I do think Nebraska still has to find a way to obviously, adjust a little bit better. I thought the tempo hit him a little bit too hard. It didn't quite adjust to that stuff very well. But for the most part, what he's talking about is, hey, when we get into these games outside of the next two, when we get into Michigan and, the rest of the season with these kind of bigger, burlier, more powerful teams with quarterbacks who would prefer to stay in the pocket and, three-step drop, hitch, whatever, and throw or play action and all that stuff, we are going to be better prepared for that because of the havoc that we think we could cause up front with the motions and the stunts and the twists on our defensive line. I agree with him. I think he's right. It is yet to be proven on whether they could actually do that. But that is going to have to be their game plan. And this just wasn't built for it, especially in the first game. As we saw this weekend, just to go back to, and maybe we could open this up in the noon hour too. Like, it was kind of just like survive and advance in week one. And if you played somebody with a pulse, in week one, it was just like, okay, I know we just got done talking for 9 months about what we're going to be and what we think we're going to be and what our visions and our goals are. And we're talking about it in all these big picture ways, but like none of that is possible if we don't win this stupid football game. So we have to win this stupid football game. We have to find a way, any way we possibly can. And that's why Emmett Johnson got 32 touches and Nebraska couldn't find a way to adjust quick enough on the defensive end. So I like, you have to credit the other team in that. I think that group will be okay because I generally have confidence in Nebraska's defense. And I think the defensive line, while they may be lighter, should be more explosive in the sacks game, therefore in the turnovers game and the QB hurries game and stuff like that. Like, that should play out if they can do it. That's at least what they want to do, right? So I come away less concerned from Cincinnati about like, oh my God, are they just gonna get rolled in the Big Ten? Cincinnati just ran for 200. I thought they were gonna run for 100, tops. But 100 of it was the quarterback. Not that faucet gets all the way shut off in conference play, but those teams, he's right. They're just not as quarterback reliant, right? They're just not as quarterback reliant. And they become a little bit easier he mentioned earlier in the press conference, he mentioned like 3 things, that are defensive coordinators or coaches' nightmares to go up against. Running quarterback was one of them, good. I think it was outside zone or something like that. And then he mentioned another thing, like Cincinnati was all of them. I'm not trying to make, I don't think that team is very good. I don't think Cincinnati is very good, for the record. But what they do was a bit of a stylistic challenge, in my opinion, for Nebraska. So I think that's a wait and see for me. I'm not like, oh my God, they're just going to get pushed around during Big Ten play. So we'll hear from Rhule more a little bit later on in the show, talking about how he mentally approaches football games. Also his comments on the special teams. Everybody was like, oh my God, special teams are fixed. Matt Rhule pulls a Lee Corso. He says, not so fast, midget. Not so fast, my friend. That's what Matt Rhule thinks. So we'll have that a little bit later on in the show. When we return, we'll talk about week 1 in college football and look ahead to week 1 in the National Football League with Alan Bell driving the line. He's coming up on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Alan Bell, the AB3 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, ahead of our first full weekend of football, we are joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Alan Bell, driving the line. AB, what's going on, Joey, hit him up there. I forgot to punch him up. AB, now you're good. What's up?
There we go. Doing good, man. You doing all right, brother?
I'm doing fantastic because we have a full week of football in front of us, and I just got, it feels like it was just minutes ago I got done watching a Bill Belichick coach football team look absolutely horrendous last night on national television.
That was weird, wasn't it? That whole thing was odd. It's weird seeing him there. Like, okay, this doesn't last longer than a year, right?
It can't. I mean, I think I'd put we talked about it earlier. I think I'd put the over under like the day after the season ends. Is he gone before that or after that?
Yeah. And the crazy part is that North Carolina, the state, is such a fertile recruiting ground for so many teams across the country, right? There are a lot of NFL players in the state of North Carolina. So I'm fascinated to see because they've had a nice little boost, in recruiting comparatively. But yeah, I mean, that can turn around very fast. I just don't see any way that this goes more than a year.
I said this earlier. Isn't it crazy that Bill Belichick is the face and basically the reason for a sideshow? I mean, the whole thing is, you got stars everywhere and you got the whole girlfriend thing, and they're not even good at football. And at the center of all this is Bill Belichick, who is like the most anti-sideshow person that has ever walked this earth.
Yeah. That's what makes it so strange is it's like, when it first came up, it's like, okay, we've seen NFL coaches, especially older ones, go to college. It's worked. We've seen it. It's made sense. But you're right. Like the fact that it was Belichick and the media, the one thing that like his whole life, that's been like his code. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's his code. And he broke it. And he's paying for that greatly.
How else was week one of college football? Your Vols got out of things okay. And anything else that you watched, you were tuned into?
Yeah, I mean, it was fascinating to see just how so many teams, like now, the college football season is so much more like the NFL than it was 5 years ago, right?
Yes.
Like the day of the 13-0, like that's over. Like, don't count these week one teams that had a poor week one. I'm not saying they're going to completely turn it around, but like Texas, Alabama might be decent teams to bet this week, right? Like, I imagine practice is not going to be very fun for those teams. So, yeah, man, Tennessee looks all right. Like, they look pretty good. I was surprised with the amount of points that they scored. I thought it'd be a lot more, kind of tight. And what about LSU? Big win for LSU over Clemson. I was surprised, man. I thought Clemson would come out a lot more on fire. That LSU defense must be for real.
There was so much Clemson hype this year, and they're routinely a top 10 program in the country. But people are like, hey, this is the year they're going to win a national championship, and I never really bought into that train. I don't know. Maybe I was lower on Clemson than most, but I expected them to lose that one.
Well, you were spot on, right? Like
nailed it.
You did. Your analysis was there, man, and because Clemson had a lot of hype, and they'll still have it. They're another team, that could be a good look in week 2. But like I was very surprised. And Mike Norvell with Florida State, that guy's gone through hell to get that win. I just felt relief for that guy.
That's
what
true.
I mean?
Yeah, you had to feel good for him. That's for sure. Yeah. And they were the team. So speaking of, you mentioned it, like the week one stuff. I mean, there was no better example to like go to the opposite of your point than last year's Florida State team, who started horribly in week 0 in Ireland last year and never got themselves off the mat. That is though the one example that I could think of like, oh yeah, that really carried throughout the year. They looked the same as we went on throughout the rest of the year. And now Florida State hopes that it's the exact same story. They just hope that they could continue to look that good throughout the remainder of the season. Weird team.
Yeah, absolutely. How do we feel about Nebraska? I mean, that was a good win, man. Like Cincinnati's not a bad football team.
It's fine. I think people are like, after watching the weekend, people are like, wow, everybody else looked kind of rough, too. So maybe I'm, expecting too much to make it look like a finished product in week one. But ultimately, yeah, happy to get out of there with a win. Most people.
Oh yeah, and I agree with that sentiment. Look around, man. Like. Tennessee, like me and my dad were talking during the game, and it was like, Tennessee's defense, there were spots where it was pretty poor. And I was saying the same. I was like, look around, man. Like, there are good teams that are struggling. I mean, what do we do with South Carolina? Like, I'm not that bought into them. I do think Denor Sellers, their quarterback, is solid. But I don't buy into the rest of the team. And they look pretty poor. But, like, I don't know if they're the 13th best team in the country. Like, we might be a little high on them. But, yeah, man, like, looking around, there are a lot of teams that just didn't. They just weren't very prepared. So if anything to take away, coming in prepared for your first game, that's a huge win, man. It goes to show these coaches, they work their tails off this offseason for that alone.
Yeah, it's difficult, that's for sure. Okay, so then we have the same scenario with the NFL, although they do have some preseason games, although they don't mean anything and the starters don't play basically the entire time. So you still see some slow starts in week one. Are you betting that this week as you look at the NFL board?
Oh yeah, because you know what else we have? Because you're spot on with that. You know what else we have too? We have a lot of divisional games. All right, you're going to see what I think the Vikings and the Bears play, the Packers and the Lions play. I mean, keep going down the list. 49ers and the Seahawks play. We've got a lot of them in week one. And remember, man, these divisional teams, these coaches don't stop. They know these teams. You have to know your teams in your division if you want to win that division, right? So what I'm getting at is that in these divisional games, points could be tight, man.
Yep.
Be careful. Points could be tight. Yeah.
So, yeah, I just counted them. It's great. I think it's either 7 or 8. I just lost count. It's either 7 or 8 divisional games. I mean, starting off with 2 of them in the first 2 games of this. Well, yeah, 2 of them in the first 2 games of the season with Thursday night and Friday night, Dallas and Philly and Kansas City at LA. Like, I don't know. Is the play here to sort of take a peek at unders? And if there's any sizable spreads, look at underdogs. Is it going to be one of those weeks to you? Or I guess how you looking at this thing?
Yeah. So I think that divisional games, I like underdogs. I like getting points. But, like, what do we do with the Lions? Do we believe in the Lions? Like, they didn't look great in the offseason, like, the preseason game.
It's surprising. I'll say this, Alan. Like, we brought them up several weeks ago. They are my bad vibes team. I just don't like them to repeat the success that they've had over the last couple of regular season success that they've had over the last year, I guess it would be. But I was surprised to see them as 2.5-point underdogs. I don't know. I guess the Micah Parsons effect is in play here for Green Bay's 2.5-point favorites.
I guess. I mean, that's a big deal, man. I'm going to say this. I think I believe in it. I think the Packers, like, I'm in on that spread. I absolutely like it. Now, the 49ers and the Seahawks, they might run the football 1 trillion times.
Yep.
Like, that might be the most under game of all time. And then the Ravens and the Bills, I mean, we're taking both quarterbacks to rush in a touchdown, right? Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen.
It seems too obvious, especially in week one where, goal line stuff, you're not quite ready to, I would say that Lamar and Josh Allen are probably good for 1 apiece.
Yeah, and here's the other question. So anybody that's playing NFL Survivor, okay, everybody familiar with the rules?
Yes.
Who are you going with week one? Broncos over Titans and the Cardinals over the Saints seem to be the 2 most popular. Yeah. The Eagles are also up there, but it's like, do you want to burn the Eagles? But yeah, like if you're looking for like interceptions and things like that, yeah, Arizona defense, Denver defense, they could get you a lot. Fantasy, Survivor, all that stuff.
So the play is like, you just fade the worst teams every week. So you just look at whoever's basically playing the Titans or the Saints every week. And to that, I cannot argue with it.
It's a strategy.
Yeah. And there's not like a whole lot left on the board. You could go You could go Bengals Browns, although the Bengals like have some plenty of uncertainty on defense, but Cleveland is just going to be
some points in that game.
Yeah,
there are going to be some points.
Yeah, but Cleveland is going to be horrible on offense, right? They can't score.
I don't know. I mean, there's no one left on that Bengals defense.
Yeah, I know.
That's the one, and it's Flacco. Like, it's Flacco, man. And then what do we do with the Rams? Like, Matthew Stafford hasn't practiced. None. Right? Like, I look at it as like golf. You know when you don't play golf for a long time, and then you go play, and you play well.
That's exactly. I can attest to this. Yes.
Yep. And then the next time you go play, it's horrible. Right?
Correct.
Like, I think I'm buying into like the no practice Stafford, like just coming out. Like, he's got enough moxie to beat you without practice, but he ain't doing it like much, you know?
Yeah. I could definitely see the storyline, coming out of that game of like, oh, well, he's fine. No need to worry about him. And then whoever they play, because that's a good game that they have there with Houston. That's a competitive football game that they'll have. So, and then I can see it whoever they play in week 2. It's like, that doesn't quite look completely airtight yet. Let's go Thursday. It's a big line with Philly, getting 8.5 points here. Or Dallas getting 8.5 points. Is Dallas down that bad where you're like okay with laying 8.5?
Yes. For this game, I don't think Dallas is going to be as bad as people think. At least offensively, I don't know what to expect with their defense. However, I do think that Dak and them will score some points. But I think in this game, I'm rolling with the Eagles because I think that the Eagles are going to be way more put together.
Yeah.
But I'm not fully out on Dallas. I mean, I kind of am. I don't know. It's a weird answer, but
I'm with you. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like it's just, they are.
They got a lot to figure out.
As an operation, you just trust Philly a lot more, and the vibes are just so bad in Dallas right now.
Absolutely. And that's it. There's just like, it's just going to be a lot of trying to figure out on the fly with Dallas, right? Like, they're going to have to do those things to where Philly's coming in saying, like, we got better. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they won a Super Bowl. And here's the other thing. Dallas is going to have to throw it like 50 times a game. Philly might not throw it 23 times in this game.
Yeah.
So like defense and running the football, it works.
And then Friday in Brazil, Kansas City and the Chargers. I mean, this is a game where the Chargers have been looking to get over the hump for a long, long time. It's always close, but we always figure out who wins at the end. Kansas City is a 3-point favorite here on Friday night. There's a whole bunch of different variables. There's a bit of a, Kansas City needs to kind of recreate itself a little bit coming from the offseason here. What do you see here with this one? Because that's a fascinating line to me.
It's fascinating, right? Look, I like points. I think that you're going to see two teams offensively that are ready to go. I think that the veteran coach teams, like, even though they're young players, like, these two teams are very professional NFL outfits. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to be ready to go. Now, don't get me wrong. Both have great defense. I am not negative on those. But I like playing the over. I do not want to mess with that spread. God, I don't want to mess with it because both these teams are very good. But I like a lot of points. I'm rolling points. What say you?
I think that you're giving me the 3, so I'll take the 3. But I feel very, 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 very uncomfortable betting against the Kansas City Chiefs. I do not like that idea.
I don't do it. I just don't do it.
Yeah, I'll just stay away. That's my answer. Actually, I'm not betting this. Yeah,
that's why I roll points here because I think both offenses are going to score and they know each other.
Yeah.
Right. Usually that plays against it, but in this one, I like points here.
All right, AB. Great stuff as always. Can't wait to do this weekly throughout the football season. Enjoy week 1 coming up this weekend.
Look forward to it, my man. You as well, buddy. Appreciate you, man. Take care.
Alan Bell, Driving the Line. Check out his daily podcast already up for today. Looking ahead to week 1 in the NFL and plenty from over the weekend as well. So Kansas City and LA, the go Chargers.
Go Chargers.
So last year, 2 games, both 1-score games, a 2-point game and a 7-point game. 2 years ago, well, actually, yes, 2 years ago, They played 2 games, and one of them was a 1-point game, and the other one was a 2-touchdown game. 3 years ago, a 3-point Chiefs win and a 3-point Chiefs win. In 2021, an overtime win for the Chiefs, and then that was the last time the Chargers won by a touchdown.
Wow.
So we're talking about a pretty good sample size of games here, 6 to 8 games, where it's close, and the Chiefs are always the team who makes one more play. So that's Friday night.
They'll find ways to win
in Brazil. But man, the Chargers have had a very, very difficult time getting over the hump in this game. 3 wins in their last, let's see here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Oh, we're going way, way back now. 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. 3 wins in the last 22.
And one of them was a week 18 game where Mahomes was
not
even playing.
That was
2021, 2020. It's around that time.
That was, so week 18 would have been what, January?
Yeah, it would have been January.
Well, so they played week 18 2 years ago. And the Chiefs won by 13-12. Was that the one you were thinking of?
No. I was talking about the Chargers winning at Arrowhead a few years back.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was in September. Oh, yes, you're right. End of the 2020 season. The Chargers, they smacked them pretty good in that game. That's one of their 3 wins in the last 22 tries.
How about 8 division games this week of NFL? Half of the games are divisional games.
Hello. I'm going to be plopped on that couch. It's going to be good, especially coming off of a night game for Nebraska.
Yeah.
That's going to be a nice, sleepy Sunday for me.
It's going to be nice.
All we're missing is a little bit of windows open. Yesterday, it felt like an NFL, or Sunday, it felt like an NFL Sunday because the windows that were open, there was some rain all day. It was like, whoa. All I'm missing is Scott Hansen right now.
It's like that all weekend.
It was kind of nice. I liked it. Little taste of fall. All right, when we come back, it's Joey's Odd News on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
It is time for the odd news. No Josh, but Joey.
Got me instead.
It's in great hands with our dear friend Joey. What do we have today, Joe?
Well, it's too bad Austin Jacobson isn't here because he would be triggered by this first story. So there's a Connecticut man who has a collection of around 3,800 pairs of Crocs.
Whoa.
So this guy is known as the Croc King. He earned the Guinness World Record when his collection of Crocs was tallied at 3,569 at the time, but he said the number was already out of date because he just keeps getting more and more into his inventory. So the
Croc King.
So his name is Doogie Sandigger.
What?
Sandtiger?
What is his name?
Doogie.
Okay. What's Croc King?
Yes, Croc King.
Croc King.
That's his nickname. But his fondness began at the age of 16 due to his childhood in foster care, leaving him without the knowledge of how to tie his shoes.
Oh, okay.
So that's
all right.
So that's how he got into wearing
Doogie Sandtiger.
Sandtiger.
That is his name. Amazing. What a name.
Yeah. So he's told the news outlet that part of the foster care system that people don't realize is there's a lot of things that kids don't get taught or miss along the way.
Sure.
Which tying shoes was one of them. It took me a long time.
It makes a lot of sense.
It took me a long time to actually learn how to tie my shoes, so I could relate to that, but I did not wear Crocs. I wore those little strap-ons.
The Velcros?
Yeah, the Velcros.
Oh, yeah, you got to have the Velcros. Absolutely. Tie your shoes when you're ready. This is a great, this comes from a great place then. It's got an odd news with the soul.
Yeah.
Here. The Croc King. But it does underscore the thing. So Crocs were a thing. Oh, this is probably, I don't know, 15-ish years ago now.
Yeah, I briefly remember wearing.
And then they kind of went away, and then they came back and the kids thought they were cool again or something. I don't know where Crocs stand in the cool factor with the kids, but I know that I think it was last year for a Creighton game, we gave away the Croc pins, or I don't know what they're called. The Croc, like you put it in the hole of your Croc.
Yeah.
And it was like a Creighton logo. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? And the kids, the students just gobbled them up. They were like, this is awesome. This is great. So I don't know where Crocs stand in the lexicon of things, but this guy truly is the Croc King, 3,500 pairs.
But yeah, he had 2,000 by around 2023. So he definitely got a huge upgrade.
That
as
is
of right now.
That is a lot of Crocs. Crocs never left, according to Charles. Interesting.
Never.
I didn't know.
It just wasn't talked about as much as it is, I guess, back in the day, 15 years ago, as you mentioned, Connor.
I think that's about right for a timeline. I don't know. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Get me right on the Croc timeline.
Well, it sounded about right because I remember around that time in my childhood.
Okay. What else we got, Joey?
Anyway, this next story is out in Spain. Not sure what the town is named. I think is Buñol.
Okay.
So there is a tomato food fight. It's called a tomatina. So thousands of people around the world seeking a uniquely messy thrill spent one wild hour flinging bushels of overripe tomatoes at each other's during Spain's tomatina celebration.
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up because I think that we have talked about this on the Odd News before. This is not recently. This is like one of the things that we do every year, like the Toy Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
This is like that. So the La Tomatina in Buñol, Spain.
Yep.
Where everyone just throws tomatoes at each other for a while. This is great.
Yeah, and apparently about 20,000 people were let loose.
This was last
event.
Wednesday.
Yeah, this was last Wednesday. So pretty much every article of clothing and pretty much every inch of bare skin and hair ended covered up.
The pictures are
mush.
Horrific.
Many people wearing white shirts that were quickly stained in pink. Just lots of tomatoes, but they called it Tomatina for this slogan for tomato therapy because Buñol had had a devastating flood that really impacted that community around October 29th of 2024. So a little bit after last year's annual gathering, but this is the 80th anniversary of the tomato tossing that party lore says began in 1945. This was created for local children, and then it has grown to an eye-catching event that now draws a significant international crowd.
It's got a Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
So it started in apparently the 1940s as just a food fight between friends, and then it expanded all the way up until 2013. There was no limit to the number of participants. Anyone could go.
Yeah, you could just go.
And now you have to have a ticket because they can't allow more than 20,000 people to throw tomatoes at each other, even though there's only 9,000 people in all of Buñol.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Crazy.
This looks awful. But at the same time, like kind of fun. I don't know.
Would you throw tomatoes for fun?
I would. There's also events that surround the actual throwing of the tomatoes. Events during the days before the fight include a paella contest near the town square, tomato fireworks, don't know what that is, and different music bands and parades around the medieval city, centered on the city center on Wednesday morning. The first event before the tomato battle is the Palo Jabon, centered on a long greased pole with a piece of ham at its top. The goal is for participants to climb the pole and make the ham drop, which requires them to climb on each other. During this effort, other celebrants sing and dance in circles, and all participants are doused with water from hoses. Once the ham falls, then the tomato battle can commence. Wow, indeed. Thank you for bringing that up, Joe.
Yeah, you betcha. And then the last story, I'm sure many people has been tuning in a bit of the U.S. Open in tennis, and we saw what happened with the CEO from a Polish company. I'll mention this in the story, but pretty much when you are a 50-year-old and adult and you're with kids and there's the athletes signing autographs, giving away headbands and hats, you would normally let the kids have it.
I would hope so.
This, however,
did that not happen here?
It did not happen. So anyway, the CEO who snatched the boy's hat at the U.S. Open.
He was a CEO? Because I think I did see the clip.
Yeah. But yeah, the hat was like given into the kid's direction. The
They
guy
doxed him.
Yeah, he just nagged the hat, took it away, and kid was not happy about it. But anyway, the man who was caught on camera snitching a hat off the young boy made a comment apologizing, said he made a huge mistake after the footage of the incident went viral. But this guy is a chief executive of a paving firm, says he was convinced the tennis star Camille, I'm not going to pronounce the name, but
that's fine.
But he thought the hat was passed in his direction.
Okay.
When you look at the video, the kid was literally.
It looked like he snatched it.
Yeah, he just snatched it. It was literally in front of him.
It's a messed up move. How about just stay in your seat? Unless they're calling you out, like, "Hey, come take this." You probably just chill out.
Yeah. But anyway,
can't trust these adults these days.
He and his wife founded the paving company in 1999. He's a millionaire CEO, and it sponsors sporting events and Polish athletes, which one of the athletes in that game was the Polish star. I can't find the name.
That's okay.
Okay,
a little backstory here.
But he said but in quote, he said, "I know I did something that seemed like consciously collecting a memento from a child," he wrote in a statement. "That wasn't my intention, but it doesn't change the fact that I hurt the boy and disappointed the fans." And
this is so what's up with, we're in the current day and age of CEO putting out statements. We had the guy from
the Coldplay concert.
Now
we have this.
Yes.
But
interesting.
But this came with a happy story at the very end.
Okay.
Kind of summarize it. The kid met up with the tennis star and he gave him a hat.
So he got what he wanted.
Yeah, he got what he wanted.
Okay, that's
pretty much.
Got a piece of memorabilia.
But if you're going to a sporting event, if you are an adult and someone says or throws a baseball out from the outfield, or if they give out like a headband or a hat, and you are nearby kids, you would say, "Okay, let the kids have it."
Let the kid have it. That is a good piece of advice.
Don't be Zach Campbell.
Do not
be Zach Campbell of tennis,
absolutely,
or football, or baseball.
Don't be Zach Campbell of anything. All right, thanks, Joey.
Yeah,
that is indeed the odd news. We'll come back to noon hour, hear a little bit more from Matt Rhule. But first, a word from our friends at Underdog, ladies and gentlemen. Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. And best of all, you can play right now in Nebraska. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower in stat categories like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, plenty more. And if you get your picks right, you could win up to $5,000 or 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1, ladies and gentlemen. So, yes, we have week 1 of the NFL coming up. We just talked about this with AB. Jalen Hurts. How about higher than a half of a rushing plus receiving touchdown? That is available for you right now on the Underdog app. Download the app today and sign up with promo code HAPPER1620 to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. Promo code HAPPER, HAPPER 1620. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 19 plus, present in Nebraska. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Another week, another zone deal. This week, it's a mega deal week at 1620thezone.com. Take advantage of different half-off deals every day, like today, including Vala's Pumpkin Patch. Tomorrow, Timber Creek Pizza and Pub. Thursday, 72 Table and Tap, and Friday, Churco. Each deal goes on sale at 9 every day. And you can find it under the deals tab, 1620thezone.com. Got this tweet from Sam before, who routinely is full of good memes and things of that nature. Sam notified us that today is a very historic day because it is the anniversary on the day that that Creighton University was founded. Wow.
I didn't know.
1878. Creighton University was founded on this day. And then Sam also mentions what a historic day for the University of Poor Sandwich Construction. So I forget what that was. They tried to make the world's longest sandwich. We had this discovery, must have been a couple of years ago now. They tried to make like the world's longest sandwich and it went horribly or something like that. But yes, that's right. 1878 on this day, Creighton University was founded.
Speaking of sandwiches, I would like to go over to New York and try those pickle sandwiches, whatever they had.
Well, like the buns or pickles?
Yes.
I have seen these.
I know this was talked about in the past, but we were just talking about New York with the US Open.
We were talking about that because the idea came up that they could play like a college basketball game at in Flushing where they play the US Open at Arthur Ashe Court, which would be awesome. Actually, by the way, I'm in full support of that. I am not in full support of the pickle sandwich.
Really?
I'm interested. I would try it. I cannot throw my full support behind the pickle sandwich.
I would definitely try it.
Don't they have that as an option at various sandwich restaurants? You could just make the bread pickle, or is that only in some places?
I think only in some places. A particular couple that were trying this trend back from a few months ago.
Is it going well? Is it or are people?
I would
eating up
think
the
so. I would
pickles?
think so. I would think so. I would definitely be the top
Oh,
customer.
Jimmy's saying, yes, that's right. You could turn the bun, you could turn the bread into lettuce, which that just makes it a lettuce wrap.
Yeah,
which that makes a lot of sense. By the way, speaking of Creighton, happy anniversary to Creighton University. By the way, a couple jokes coming in on the YouTube. Kenneth writes in, he says, crazy because Kalkbrenner's first game as a J was in 1890. And Charles writes in, Bob Harstad was a freshman in 1890. This Friday is their annual Socktoberfest. Come on out, everybody, please. I'll be doing the game on ESPN Plus. The women's soccer team plays at 5 as they traditionally go first. They play a top 10 team in Arkansas, and the men play Denver at 7:45. So get this, $35. You could get the following: the package with a 20-ounce commemorative stein, a pour in the stein, so a beer, an Oktoberfest or a Mick Ultra if you want to. A beer sampling punch card good for 8 samples from various vendors, a meal ticket, access to live music from the Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. It's all there for you. And there's also stuff to do for the kids as well. So come out on Friday, hang out with us. The weather looks beautiful.
I've been to a couple of those Creighton UNO soccer games. Those can be.
You got to check out Socktoberfest, Joey.
Yeah.
You got to check out Socktoberfest. It's on Friday evening at Morrison Stadium. Plenty of activities to do for the kids. Go Creighton.com/buy. Get going right now because Socktoberfest is right around the corner.
Did they also call it the Dodge Street Derby still?
The Dodge Street Derby, I believe, is still a thing. I don't know when that game is this year, but I'm sure it's coming up. They're not ducking each other or anything like that. I don't know if they call it the Derby or the Derby, whatever they might do.
I was just around so many soccer people at UNO, and they get pumped up for this special event. Just a special rivalry.
Yeah, crosstown battle. You don't get it very often.
Yeah, never. not a lot of these happening with the other sports.
But that is not, for the record, that is not what's happening at Socktoberfest. But people should go to Socktoberfest on Friday. So, by the way, from the 402, honk all day. Let's talk Jays. Who's a sleeper this year? I think there would be people outside with pitchforks. And
people forget there's Creighton basketball in the next month.
Yeah.
So we'll be approaching that sometime soon.
We'll see. Well, I don't know who's an X factor. What is an X factor, by the way? We're not talking about this right now.
No.
We're talking about Socktoberfest, and we're talking about football. Football, which Creighton doesn't have, sadly. But maybe they should bring it back.
It's been a long time.
Maybe they should bring it back. All right. Let's go back to the press conference from yesterday. Matt Rhule, still more things to say. I wanted to get to a couple before we get to the special teams. A couple of quotes that made me go, this is sort of interesting. So I think the lead in here, he was still talking about like the running back situation and all of that stuff. But he also, there's a little bit of insight here in how he approaches a football game. This is not different from any other time since he's been here. This is not really a change. And I will say, if I was maybe overestimating anything before the season started, it was, you listen to Matt Rhule talk over the last month, and you would have thought that their program underwent like a full-scale, top-to-bottom, complete like philosophical change. The way he talks about the team, the way, and so I thought that would reflect in the way they sort of operate. I didn't think it looked that much different on Thursday. It was just game one. It was obviously a get-through-it game, and we'll talk about this more after this, but Matt Rhule's sort of football brain and the way he thinks about how to win a football game also has not changed. Here is Matt Rhule yesterday in Lincoln.
I think they're all must-wins. But I guess what I'm saying is you get into the game, it's like, I expect every game. I'm not like I got different guys on my staff. I expect every game to be 17-16. So I'm never disappointed. Like people that think every game's going to be easy, then they get into a fist fight, they get surprised, and they're like, oh, shoot. I expect every game to be hard because I respect my opponent. It's respect without fear. So like I was preparing for it to be a battle. It just was a weird flow to the game, if that makes sense. Like, again, 19 minutes in the first half, 10 in the second, and then I think our time possession was pretty close in the second half, right? So just a weird deal. And if you think about it, I'm always saying make one more play, so Coach Paterno with me, just make one more play. Like even last year we lose these close games, you guys say, what do you think? I say, we got to make one more play. Well, Malcolm made one more play. I wish our free technique would have come underneath and sacked the quarterback on the long run, and then we wouldn't have had to make that play. So we're just going to work everyone to make one more play. And I think watching a lot of the college football you watch this week, and a lot of games came down, there's a lot of games that are 50-0, but when you watch Power 4 on Power 4, most of them came down to, a play here and a play there, right? So happy to see Malcolm make it, but that was long-winded to say. Like, we had to get Emmett going in that game, but Mosey's ready to go, and Makai's ready to go, and Quentin's back, and he's ready to go, and Quentin brings us a physical back too. So I think you'll see them all play.
All right. So what do you, Joey, I'm curious for you, and certainly the listening audience as well. When you hear the coach say, I think every game is going to be 17-16. Now, once again, to be clear, he's always said that. He's always approached it that way. But I know people hear that and it sort of hits them the wrong way. They're like, what do you mean you expect every game to be 17-16? I'll explain what I think he means in a second, but how does that hit you, Joey, as a fan who wants to see the team win by more than one, wants to see them win, but wants to see them win by more than one, preferably.
Probably an expectation that they were kind of the same way last year, just going toe to toe with every team, just wants to put some fuel in the players, trying to perform better, try to do everything else right. I guess they got wrong from the first game. I think it's more respectful for the teams that are playing throughout the season.
That could be true.
They want to say, hey, even though Akron did not score at all in that first game against Wyoming, he wants to say, well, Akron's a good team. Akron's got a
right
coached program.
And
they can do certain things right, do certain teams wrong. There's same like Nebraska.
I think that's a little bit more of where he's coming from. But we also know how he thinks about football games, right? He's a little bit old school, and certainly how they've done it over the last couple of years would lead you to believe, like, yeah, we're going to be in all these close games. And he's right. For the record, he is right. They're going to be in all these close games. We just got to make one more play. So I think he's maybe a little bit more mentally preparing his team to say, look, this is not, just because you did it the one time doesn't mean you're going to do it again. And you have to be prepared to be in that moment and make that play every single time. And the only way to do that is just, constantly and repetitively do your job over and over and over and over again.
And there's going to be certain hiccups along the path to the 12-game season for the Cornhuskers. We saw that right away in that UTEP game, week 1, where they gave up that large touchdown pass and it was tied 7-7. Nebraska was kind of in a little situation for the moment, but then they kind of figured things out as things progress.
Right.
You're going to be starting every game scoreless, a tie ball game, and it's going to be that way until you actually do something on the field.
Yeah, it's funny. It goes back to the conversation we were having a little bit last week. Like, we oftentimes think about the season in the context of the season and what happens over a 12-game stretch, and what are you going to be in the grand scheme of it at the end of the year? Are you going to have a running back that runs for 1,000 yards? Are you going to have a quarterback that throws for 3,000? Is he going to throw 26 touchdowns and 10 interceptions? Like, what is that going to look like? And really, what we care about and what should matter is the games, the plays. And I think that's probably the perspective he's trying to take it from. But I know that people hear that and they say, I expect every game to be 17-16. And they think, well, coach, you were up 13-3 with a chance to put that thing away in the first drive of the second half. Why didn't that happen? Is it because that you expect every game to be close? Is that why you didn't have your foot on the gas pedal during that time? Or for the record, I didn't think it was about the push and pull of aggressiveness that led them to, they just didn't execute, right? They didn't get to that point. And then they let Cincinnati back into the game. And people are like, well, it didn't have to be that way. We didn't have to go through this amount of stress to get to that point. So I think he probably meant it a little bit more in the mental way instead of the actual functional way of, like, I want every game to be like this because I like it. However, he did say, I think what happened on Thursday will be good for our team.
Yeah.
And he's probably right.
Yeah, I would say
he's probably right about that. And there is definitely no doubt that the stress is not going anywhere. The stress is not going anywhere anytime soon. You're going to be stressed out watching Nebraska football games because there's going to be a lot of them that are going to be close.
Well, and the mentality for these next 2 games, because you got a MAC team and then you got an FCS opponent, you don't want to be bypassing those 2 schools and looking ahead to that Michigan game. So you want to stay on schedule and do all the small things right and get the results that the fans are hoping to see.
Here's a couple from the YouTube. So Jimmy looks like he was kind of fired up about this. He says, you should be pursuing to dominate. I mean, I'm not a coach. What the hell do I know? But how can you expect them to get better if they have that attitude? Once again, I don't think he's talking about the game. Like, they obviously they want to be the better team every single play. So he's not talking about like the functional, like, I want to win every game. I think he prefers it this way, for the record, but he's not saying, hey, look, I want to win every game 17-16. I think we're probably doing a little bit too much with this, but it's not like he's going up to his players before every single game and saying, hey, look, man, like, we're not going to dominate today, and we're not going to execute on every single play simply because we're going to win 17-16. Like, that's not happening. Obviously, if Nebraska has a chance to pull away in the game, you want them to do that. And it wasn't their mentality. It wasn't their mindset of this that led them to not pull away from Cincinnati. It was their lack of execution, in my opinion.
Yeah, certain things just did not go Nebraska's favor, and Cincinnati took advantage of it and made it a more competitive game in the second half.
I don't think they said so. Jimmy writes in, he says that it sounds like he's settled. I know that people are like, because I saw it on the internet yesterday, people are like, what the hell is going on? This guy is, I think if there's a bigger takeaway, it's this. Like I said at the beginning, I thought they would be, just from how they approach a game standpoint, I just thought they would be a little bit different. I just thought you'd be able to see it. And maybe we will see it. Maybe we go on throughout the next couple of weeks and say, wow, this offense is crisp, but it's kind of high flying. Like they might be able to score 30 points a game or something like that. It just, and what Cincinnati did obviously had an impact on what Nebraska did on Thursday. But it just, like I said, the way that Rhule talked about this team in the offseason, you would have thought they underwent a complete and total like program makeover. And it didn't look any different really from the last 2 years.
No.
And that's, I think, the core of what maybe has frustrated people through, once again, I feel like we should remind people of this, through one game against a team with a pulse. So yeah, they'll have to be a little bit more crisp and a little bit better on Saturday, and then continue to do that. And then, you roll the ball out there against Michigan.
And I think what matters right now is Nebraska wins that first game against a Power 4 opponent in a one-score game. And Nebraska's now done that 2 consecutive games. So Nebraska's kind of finally figuring that out. Now, will we see that in Big Ten conference play? Time will tell.
Maybe. Similar sort of subject here. Speaking of things that may have frustrated people from yesterday's press conference. By the way, Jeff writes in on the text line. He says, fans need to chill out over podium comments. Rhule isn't going to come out there and say anything like we have a winnable game, or stuff like that. So, yes. And then, by the way, a couple more texts from the 531. Do you know what they call a team that wins every game by 1? National champs. That is true.
There you go.
That is true. Text from the 531. And then Tyler writes it. He says the game on Thursday night was an exact repeat of everything that had happened over the last 2 years. If he doesn't make that interception, we're talking about another 0-1 start to start the season. Is there a record that Matt Rhule gets him this year? Oh, that is on the hot seat. Oh, that went in a different direction than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I think his seat gets pretty hot if they don't win 6 games. Yeah. I don't know if he gets fired under any circumstances, but yeah, I think they probably need to be pretty good this year. I don't think people will be very happy if they win 7 this year. So that nothing has changed from our preseason conversations in that regard. But here's another thing that he said yesterday. Once again, he was talking about the running back situations. The running back, how many guys do we play and how many guys can we play thing was really all over the place throughout the 30-minute press conference yesterday. And he dropped in another line that I think you might find interesting as well. Here is Matt Rhule yesterday.
The whole year long. That was a must-win game, and the game got closer than you probably wanted it to. It felt like it was going to go one way, and then it didn't. Credit to Cincinnati. And as I said to our guys, this is Power 4 football. Everyone has to get adjusted to, they have $20.5 million to pay their players. You know what I'm saying? Like the days of old are over. Like Power 4 teams all have every team has $20.5 million to spend on their athletes. So they're going to have good guys. It's not like they're all just going to, the last couple of years, the really good players on teams like that would just leave for money and NIL money. But now you can pay them. You're going to face a lot of good players. So they came roaring back. And I think this, if I'm being honest, I think it's probably what was good for our team, to have that kind of a game. We had to play 60 minutes and we had to look at ourselves and see what we didn't do well, kind of questions you asked, and try to fix them. But, yeah, so I just think Emmett was hot, But I'm just going to tell you, I think when Mosey gets out there, he's going to do big things. I know Makai's going to do big things. I'm excited for them. It didn't work out the first game. We'll hopefully get him in this game.
So he once again still continues to. He's still talking about the running back situation throughout that entire thing. What do you think about that? Hey, this is how it is. This is how it's going to be. This is Power 4 football. Everybody's got $20.5 million, even though Nebraska is a 7-point favorite, and there was an expectation that. From Nebraska's fan base that they could have performed a little bit better in that game. And if they did, it would have led to them winning by more against a team that, yes, has $20.5 million at their disposal and at their fingertips to be able to, pay their student athletes and stuff like that. It's a weird comment. It also goes to, it also goes to another comment that was made this was some back and forth yesterday. So have you seen that Dan Lanning and Mike Gundy are throwing barbs at each other this week?
I haven't been paying attention, and I'm not aware of that's taking place.
It's over money.
Interesting.
So Mike Gundy had quite the press conference yesterday. He lifted his shirt up and showed his nipples to everybody. He was talking about, by the way, the Nebraska game in the 80s where he was intimidated. He was the quarterback there. He was intimidated that Nebraska players on a cold and sleet day came out with their, with their crop tops on and stuff like that. So Gundy talks about the gap between Oregon and Oklahoma State. Obviously it's a little bit of a different time. Oh, this was from his weekly radio show yesterday. Gundy shared that Oklahoma State as a program spent about $7 million on assembling their team over the past 3 seasons. Once again, this is pre $20.5 million, pre-rev sharing. You're still in the NIL era. $7 million assembling their team over the last 3 seasons. A remarkably low number for a power conference football team, in my opinion. That comment was immediately followed by how many millions of dollars he believes Lanning and the Ducks spent on their roster last year alone. Quote, I think Oregon spent close to $40 million last year alone. That was just 1 year. Now I might be off by a few million. He continued to talk about Oregon spending. After acknowledging the public chatter that Ducks quarterback Dante Moore could go down as one of the best to ever play the position at Oregon, Gundy noted that it would, quote, cost a lot of money to keep him on the roster before adding that there are, quote, coaches saying Oregon's budget should help determine their schedule outside of their Big Ten league opponents. Oregon should be playing teams in their own NIL bracket and not Gundy and his Cowboys. Dan Lanning then was asked about this at his weekly press conference yesterday. Quote, if you want to be a top 10 team in college football, you better be invested in winning. We spend to win. Some places save to have an excuse for why they don't. If you ever need Dan Lanning, if you ever need a bomb-ass quote, just hit Dan Lanning's line.
He's got a lot of good lines.
If you ever need a college football coach to start trash talking another college football coach or another college football program, just hit my guy Dan Lanning, and he will give you some absolute gas. He had the line for Coach Prime, and they play for clicks, we play for wins, or whatever it was last year in the pregame speech. And how about, this is possibly even more of a banger. We spend to win. Some places save to have an excuse for why they don't. Now,
interesting considering how last season went for both of those programs.
I will also add that some places come from a different place. If you are fortunate enough to be the head coach at Oregon, you'll never want for anything, right? If you're the head coach at a place like Oklahoma State, you probably get annoyed with how much you have to ask for things. At Oregon, you just don't have to ask, right? If you're Gundy, you could probably do a lot better job fundraising and asking the estate of T. Boone Pickens for more money to acquire players in the transfer portal or whatever it might be. If you're at Oregon, you don't have to ask. It's just there. You got the green light, baby.
You are the top brand in that region.
You are the CEO, and you have money to spend at your fingertips. So that's another thing that's happening here. We have a lot of conversation about who's spending what. This is going to be an ongoing thing this year. Coaches will be asked in their post-game press conferences about what happened, and they'll say, well, they have more money than us. I guarantee it. It's going to keep happening. Let's take a break. When we come back, college football reaction, overreactions from over the weekend. We'll touch on Kalen DeBoer's future. We'll touch on Arch Manning, back to Bill Belichick, and another popular college football quarterback when we return on 1620 The Zone. Just had a bonus topic thrown in here for college football reaction, overreaction. It was brought to us basically here by Sam. What was the money line on 2 Power 4 coaches showing off their nipples this weekend?
I like that.
So what are we doing? I mean, so Gundy was one of them. We saw those.
Yep.
Plain, just plain old nipples. What do we do with Ryan Day? Now, he didn't show it off, but many people saw Ryan Day.
It was noticeable under his shirt.
Is this a topic? Is this a topic in Buckeye Nation today? If Ryan Day may or may not have his nipples pierced. It could.
Probably in an odd news segment for their show.
I don't know. It could be like 25, 30 minutes. I have no idea. I don't know what they're talking about. It's going to be tough to get away from the allegations. I think if you're Ryan Day at this point, it was.
They're going to go after him like for any loss Ohio State has this season. They're going to probably go to that.
It's just like if he's like, did he have a press conference yesterday? And did anyone? Would anyone dare ask him, hey, like what's going on there? Because I don't know what you say if someone asks you, hey, can you confirm that? Can you confirm that you have your nipples pierced, please? Like, you either confirm it or deny it right now. I'm just going to ask you straight up. Do you have that? And I don't know what he would say if the answer was no, right? Because if the answer is yes, then you have your answer. It's like, okay, that makes sense. That is what I saw confirmed.
We should send Matt to Columbus to ask that for confirmation.
That's true.
That would be a Matt question.
But if he says no, then are we ever going to believe him? And then if he's lying, are we ever going to believe anything he ever says again? I mean, there could be a real topic, a real controversy in here. But no, I would have had the under on amount of coaches that showed their nipples over the weekend, even though Ryan Day didn't really mean to do his. All right. College football reaction, overreaction. Joey, I'd like to know if you think that these are appropriate reactions or if they're overreactions as well. We have a few topics here. Let's start in Tuscaloosa.
Okay, Connor. Well, this is Kalen DeBoer's final season at Alabama.
So it's one thing to lose, and they lost, and it was not necessarily in spectacular fashion, but against a team whose quarterback did a little bit of talking over the summer, weird environment, right? You're already on a little bit of thin ice from last year from not making the playoff and losing to Vanderbilt. It's just like, ooh, you went what, 9-3, but it wasn't. It's obviously not the standard of Saban. Okay, so how's it going to go to start this season? We got Florida State on the road to start things off. They lose by 2 touchdowns. It doesn't look good. Florida State looks like the better team. And then you have, so it's one thing that all happens. And then you have this after the game. There was you just get a little bit antsy when you start seeing stuff like this go around on Twitter. There's some guy who says he knows a booster and whatever, and the booster said all these things about how I've been around the team for 25 plus years and it's never been this bad, or it's as bad as some of these failed coaches have ever been. The organization is bad. You got players, getting DoorDash at 1:30 in the morning to their hotels and stuff like that. And I'm just like, ooh, this has bad stuff written all over it. Now, there's a buyout situation that is a situation. We are in a day and age where times are a little bit tougher for these athletic departments because they have to pay their players $20.5 million from their already existing budget. So you have to find that to make it up somewhere. So might they be in the mood to pay a $70 million buyout? I don't know. Would it be a good move? Would it be a good move if things bottom out this year? I also don't know if that is the answer.
It depends on what their backup plan is or who would take over afterwards, because they would have to find the perfect match for Alabama.
It just seems like if you're Kalen DeBoer, you are just set up for failure. He was put in a position to fail. Amazingly, I know, you're right. You're taking over Alabama, a program who's always had more talent than everybody, or at least as much talent as everybody. But Nick Saban is an all-time great, and what Nick Saban did was always had his team like the military. You know,
they were very disciplined.
They're incredibly disciplined. They're lined up, and who knows how many points or wins that was worth over the years. And so Kalen DeBoer is just not like that. He's laid back. He's spent a lot of time on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
He's a West Coast guy, as Colin Cowherd would say. And it's just not the same anymore. He has a different approach to managing a football team than Nick Saban does. I don't think very many people that exist nowadays have a similar taste for that as Nick Saban does. But it's a change.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a change. And it was never going to be like Saban's. And he just happens to be the person in this position now. And stuff starts slipping. And then stuff gets out there. And it goes fast. So I don't know what's going to happen to them this year. But it's very possible we could be. And this, once again, this is an up and coming, on the rise coach.
Yep.
But it just, I don't know. It just feels like it might not work.
Just doesn't really fit with what the conference is. And we're already seeing a particular person on ESPN wanting Nick Saban to return, get out of his TV contract, and coach for Alabama. We all know who it is.
I don't think he's coming back, but
nah.
Yeah, it's a bad situation. And so that is not an overreaction to think that this could be it for him.
No.
It's not.
No.
It could happen that fast.
All right, Connor. Arch Manning is bad.
Arch Manning is bad. What a take. I've seen many people having that take.
Not a great showing at Columbus for his first time as a starter against the reigning NCAA championship.
People forget they did win the national championship last year. But it was more about how it looked, right? It's not exactly about the performance. It's kind of about how it looked a little shaky. That defense could do that to you. There was a stat in an ESPN story that I'll give you here. He was 0 for 5, Arch was, on passes 5 or more yards downfield over the first 3 quarters of the game. He also finished with an off-target rate of 37%. So 37% of his passes were off target. The worst game in that department by any Texas quarterback over the past decade. So he had a really bad time in his first go. Is he bad? No.
No, he's not.
I am ready to say that is an overreaction.
But
it was a little bit eye-opening for the people who thought he was just going to step in and immediately be a generational superstar.
And I talked to Michael Severe on Sunday about this. If this game was in Austin, I think this would have been a different result for him, and all the conversations would be about
saying.
Now,
we probably don't. It wouldn't have been as big of a deal because we didn't think as much of him as I'm talking about the general public. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but generally people are like, yeah, Arch Manning, this is the guy. And saying absolutely looked like the more comfortable quarterback. He looked poised. He did what was asked of him. Didn't make mistakes. They didn't have a great offensive output still, but he managed his way through the game and certainly looked a hell of a lot better than Arch Manning. Arch Manning is not bad, but Arch Manning had a bad day. That's for sure.
Okay, we talked about this man a couple times earlier in the show. This is Bill Belichick's final season at North Carolina.
This is Bill Belichick's final season in North Carolina. Yes, that is an appropriate reaction. The question is becoming whether he will make it to the end of this season. I mean, I don't know.
It just did not look good for him.
I don't know that I would have said the same thing with Prime if you asked me. He won his first game, by the way.
Yeah.
But I would have said he's probably not long for the show here. But I just don't. Once again, I go back to the point. I don't know why he would want to do. I don't know why he would want to live this way.
There's nothing.
He
for
is
him
a
to prove.
punchline. He is a joke. And he doesn't have to be. He could very easily just not be. He could easily do that.
Mhm.
And I don't know why he's done this in the first place, but yeah, I can't imagine that he goes past this year. Seriously, I don't see it. So that is an appropriate reaction to me.
All right, Connor, let's finish this off. We barely talked about this game, Clemson and LSU. What a great nightcap for week 1 Saturday. But Cade Klubnik's career has been propped up by the fact he plays for Clemson and people automatically think he's good.
Wow, a strong take from the writers. I have never really got it with him. He's had some eye-popping, Cade Klubnik. He's had some eye-popping games. He looked pretty bad the other night.
Yeah.
Once again, a good team. First game. There's still all this stuff. But I've never really got it with him. So when people were talking about the Heisman with him this year, the conversation was more surrounded by like, oh, well, he plays for Clemson, and we expect Clemson to be a top 5 team in the country, and he's the quarterback of that top 5 team, and he's a one-time highly rated quarterback recruit. Like, it all checks out. He is the guy. I've never gotten star vibes from him. I've rarely gotten more than like game manager vibes from him. For a place that has always been known, or that has recently been known for excellent top level quarterback play. They've always had good ones. And so, yeah, I do think he is propped up a little bit by Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. And, so I think there's just an expectation that he is that guy. And I don't consider him to be. I don't.
I was kind of shocked with how he performed in that game because I was so used to seeing how bad LSU's defense has been in the past. They've been giving up a good chunk of points through the last few seasons with Brian Kelly, and then obviously before Ed Orgeron's departure. So I was expecting a little more out of him. I was kind of a little shell shocked just seeing how that played out for Clemson with a home game under the lights against LSU.
Yeah. Well, that's the story of the whole weekend, Joey. I mean, it was just choppy for everybody.
Yeah.
So if you were lucky to get it out of there with a win, then you take it. And as we said, going into that Clemson LSU game, just LSU is in that game every single year. They're in the big, game against the big team every year, whether it be USC a couple years ago or who'd they play out of the gate last year? Or wasn't it like
they played USC last year, and then the previous two was Florida State.
Florida State, right. They're always in that game, and if they lose it, people start to bury them, and if they win it, they're a national championship contender. Well, they won it.
Well, they've been on the wrong end going down the wire in those games. All of them have been close. I know last year was LSU had a big lead, and USC just came back and pretty much knocked them out of Vegas.
Yep. Let's take a quick break. Thank you, writers. Appreciate it. Can't wait for NFL overreaction starting next Tuesday. We'll be back with the top poll questions from the month of August after this on 1620 The Zone. Hey, it's Happer here for Underdog. Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. And best of all, you can play right now in Nebraska. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players, maybe players on your fantasy team that you may have drafted this past weekend. Pick whether they will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and of course, plenty more as well. And if you get your picks right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash, and you can play with as little as $1. I'm looking at one right now on the Underdog app. How about Bijan Robinson this weekend? Half of a rush or touchdown or receiving touchdown, higher or lower. That's all you got to do on Underdog. So get the app right now. Download it and sign up using my promo code HAPPER1620 to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. Promo code HAPPER1620. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog, and we're wondering if you are next. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 19 plus and present in Nebraska. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. One more on Belichick and the boys last night. Did you happen to see the barrage of tweets from at TCU football just dunking on everything they could find?
I enjoyed that. They had a lot of fun with it.
They sure did. Everybody was in their crosshairs. There was a meme about Bill Belichick coaching. They changed it to Sonny Dykes. A Deadspin tweeted, Deadspin, by the way, "Babe, wake up. Bill Belichick coaches college football today." And then they responded, "Babe, go back to sleep." Carolina football a week ago. "Excited to showcase our program this fall on Hulu. More information to come." TCU football. "When does episode 1 come out?" Skip Bayless. "TCU is about to get blown out. Too much MJLT. About to get mossed." And then they just responded with Stephen A. Smith laughing in a GIF form. A tweet. "If Matt Patricia has Arch Manning in hell, what do we think Bill Belichick will do to that poor kid at TCU?" TCU responds, "I guess we'll never know." I mean,
there was a lot of
it's still going. It's just nonstop. They are taking their victory lap.
There was a lot of disrespect on TCU for this game because it was all about Bill Belichick, all about North Carolina, and they were bringing up how TCU fared against Deion Sanders in Colorado when he made his debut in the FBS level. So
Yeah.
TCU's taking every opportunity they can get.
They got a couple hacks at it
to slam everybody.
Now they're taking their victory lap for sure. All right, top 5 poll questions for the month of August is a carefully curated list by yours truly. I am the sole proprietor of this list this time around, so let's do it. Number 5.
God, come on, take forever.
Number 5.
From the month in polls. If you remember, Josh and I were talking about it late last week. We had some good ones this month. I think this is a good batch. So let's start with number 5. This comes from us on August 12th. Is it time to say ass on the radio now that kids are back in school? 94.1% say yes. Over 94% of people said yes, it's time to say ass again now that the kids are back at school. By the way, that didn't stop us from saying ass all summer long. The kids can hear ass. Okay.
They'll hear it everywhere.
Yeah, they're going to hear it on cable TV. They were cussing on game day again on Saturday.
Yeah.
On Lee Corso's final episode, they were just like, yeah, S word, whatever.
It was mainly Pat McAfee doing his thing.
Unbelievable. Let's go to number 4, Joey.
Number 4.
August 14th. This is when I'm going through my ordeal with my ice maker. Does customer service nowadays rustle your jimmies? 89.7% say, very interesting how we had 94.1 and 89.7 for no reason whatsoever. Definitely, actually, it's not interesting at all. 89.7% say, yes, customer service nowadays rustles their jimmies. All right. We're going to have a lot of honorable mention, by the way. I pulled a lot for this list. But let's get you the top 5 first. Number 3.
3. Combination of 3 and 5.
Number 3.
August 18th. We asked, have you ever eaten Michael Severe's pork?
Oh, yeah. I remember him showcasing some of his cooking skills.
Have you ever eaten Michael Severe's pork? 92.7% said they have never had the honor of eating Michael Severe's pork. 92.7. That's too many. So there's at least 7% of you out there have eaten Michael Severe's pork. On to number 2, Joey.
Here comes 2.
Number 2.
To remind you, there's really no rhyme or reason here for what the top 5. It's just whatever tickles me the right way at the moment where I was putting this together, which is last night. Number 2 comes from August 22nd. Does John Bishop look like a guy who uses the word poop as his password? 78.5% say yes. All right, cool.
He kind of fits that personality.
It kind of does. It's just his style of humor. And on to hit me, Joey. Number 1. Number 1 comes to us.
Make it so, number 1.
Number 1.
Josh is so dramatic with these build-ups. It's full of drama. Number 1, August 20th. Simple. And this might be the first time in poll question award history where I think I'm giving this out because the number was so astounding. The number was astounding to me. You tell me, Joey.
Okay.
The question on August 20th was, have you dug a hole recently? What do you think people have said to that? I already told you that it was astounding, so you already, but you kind of have an idea. What do you think a normal answer to that question is? What do you think the percentage of our listening audience who has dug a hole recently?
I would probably say no, or depending on the context of why they're digging the hole.
Nobody's digging a hole, right? like 15% tops.
You would have to have a reason to be doing such things.
Apparently, 57% of you have dug a hole recently. 57% said yes. 57% of our listening audience has dug a hole, quote unquote, recently, which I thought was amazing. And it earned it
secrets.
The number one spot on the list. Elsewhere, a bunch of poll questions that got some run, but ultimately didn't make it. We asked this on Thursday. Can you believe that Sister Jean has never witnessed a football game between Nebraska and Cincinnati in her life? Before Thursday, of course. 58.7% said yes. Are you in the car and think Nebraska will win 9 games this year? 67.9% said no. Do you look at Connor Happer and think fuel efficiency? 67% or 62% said no. Is Josh Pate like Steve from Blue's Clues? 58.9% said yes. Do you like it when your feet dingle dangle a little bit? 51.6% said no. Are you due for a Kangaroo Jack rewatch? 82.4% said no. Let's see. Will you be crying in February? 63.3% said no. Do old fans like a big booty? 65.5% said yes. Would you like to receive an unprecedented gift? 93.6% said yes. And let's see. Does Matt Rhule's Starbucks order have more than 4 words in it? 55.9% said yes. And then we did this one to actually see what the response would be. On August 5th, we asked heads or tails. Just to see how.
I remember seeing that up there.
How would it even out? 54% said tails for the record, but as projected, pretty close to 50-50. That is our month in polls. It was a good batch.
I remember having to throw one up on Austin's duel with the ostrich.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was one of them that I saw in there. I was like, "What is this?" That was the day
it was something in the
both
It was something in the crossover, and then he actually talked to Brian Munson about that, and Munson had an encounter with the ostrich.
Of course,
if I remembered.
Of course, you never know what you're going to see out there in Texas.
Thing.
I guess.
Yeah.
All right, quick timeout. We'll be back. 1 o'clock hour is up next on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back. Connor Happer, Joey Colbert with you here on a Tuesday. Short week. Nice. Love that. I was looking at the weather for late this week into this weekend. Looking lovely for Saturday.
Feels like fall.
Saturday, well, I'm looking at Omaha. Let's go to Lincoln because, it's a different climate down there in Lincoln. Saturday, game day, high of 72 and sunny. Now, we're talking about a night game, so it might be a little bit chilly at the end of the game.
Might get your little hoodies out, little blankets.
Absolutely. Everyone. I wish everyone good luck because really this is like New Year's. It's like Christmas and New Year's and all the first day of school, all tied in back to one. Everybody gets to go into their closets and get their new hoodies out. They get to get their new quarter zips out. They get to get their new polos out. And you could really wear anything you want.
You could get your flannel shirts out.
You could get your flannel walking shirts out. Whatever you'd like to do, Saturday is going to be the perfect day for it. Because, as the fight song says, in all kinds of weather, I mean, this is the best kind of weather. And the best kind of weather is going to be where you could wear whatever you'd like to the football game. It's going to be beautiful. There's going to be so many quarter zips on Saturday. And people yell at Creighton fans for wearing quarter zips. Don't lie. You love them. You love quarter zips. Matt Rhule wore a quarter zip with a hoodie to the press conference yesterday. And people said, wow, I kind of like that quarter zip. I like how it has that hood on it. That's kind of cool. You're not above it. You're not above it. Yell at me for wearing quarter zips. Quarter zips are great, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so speaking of Matt Rhule, we should go back to some of the things that he was talking about yesterday at his press conference. So once again, the theme of yesterday's press conference was narratives. He knows what everybody's talking about. He knows what they're saying. So he knows what people were talking about with the defense. He knows what people were talking about with the special teams. Let's get his thoughts on both of those. First, Nebraska's defense. How was it overall? How did it look to you on Thursday?
Played hard. I think John said it really well. I think they played hard. I think we have to play faster. And this part of that's key. Now, I say this. I thought we covered really well. I mean, in modern college football, to play a Power 4 team and hold them to 69 yards passing, I don't know how often that happens. So, I don't really know what the narratives are out there. Like, I know that's really hard to do. And I think, like your Sierra, you get no targets, but he's sticky. Like you look at last year and you look at this year, we're way stickier. And I thought Ford was a heck of a player for them. I thought he was a really, we knew he was a good player from La Tech, or I forget which one. I get confused, but we knew from previously he was going to be a good player. He's fast, he's athletic. And so, I thought he was a really good player watching him out there, and I thought Andrew Marshall played really well. I thought Donovan Jones played really well. I thought Keese played really well. We covered well. Guthrie got in the game. He played well. Early in the game, I felt like we weren't running good angles, which is disappointing because that's all we talk about. And that comes down to trust. It just comes down to trusting yourself, but trusting your teammates. And sometimes you have to go out and play a game or two and see it and then be like, oh, geez, I have to fix this. So early on, I saw a lot of guys just trying, kind of breaking down a little too early. So we emphasized that again yesterday. They got better as the game went on. We were so dominant in terms of the time of possession that sometimes almost on defense, you'd like to get into a little bit of a rhythm. It's like we went 3 and out, and then they knocked the ball out. We scored, and then we had the ball in the second half. They went a long time without playing. I would have liked to have seen us play a little faster, but I think the biggest thing is just playing fast. Sometimes tempo has a chance. Sometimes has a chance to do that to you. John's getting the call in. Guys are panicked because they feel the tempo. They're not really getting the call fast enough, making all the checks that you have to make, and so just settling them down, I think, was one of the things that showed up on Saturday. But I think like I said, I think the positives are, a year coming in saying, hey, we want to stop explosive passes. We gave up one explosive, which was on a quarterback scramble. We took the ball away twice. I think we were really good on third down. Just some quarterback runs we have to improve upon.
I don't know about you guys. I don't know. I guess I don't know what you thought after the game. But there was a little bit of conversation about the defense afterwards. Not much of it because most of it was bogged down in the offense and what they did do mostly throughout the game, and how many times Emmett Johnson had to touch the ball, and the left tackle, which we'll get to the left tackle here in just a second. But I came away like not one way or the other on the defensive side, which is probably a good thing, right? I thought the defense was pretty decently up to the task of what I thought they would be. And Rhule talked about that a little bit in the whole rush defense, D-line thing earlier when we played it on the show. You know, just weird situation in that game, kind of funky. You're gonna have to find out how to do that later. And then ultimately they made one play, a defensive play at the end of the game to be able to seal the ball game. I never thought this was going to be a top 15 defense in the country that was just so, I mean, just last 2 years, that defense was just heavy and kind of on top of you and would just kind of suffocate you, right? I don't think that this is that. And I never did. I thought it would be a faster, potentially and hopefully more explosive defense. And get to see a couple of those plays. Didn't get to the quarterback any, which is tough. But like I said, that's a lot of that is him. And you're able to get a couple turnovers on the defensive side. I thought they were pretty good overall. So, mentioned it before. How about that left tackle situation? What is going to happen there going forward? And why did Nebraska do what they did on Thursday night, playing 3 different left tackles? Here's Matt Rhule yesterday. This video is
we're not going to be a 3-man rotation real long, but I think everybody had some good plays. Everybody had some plays you like back. I mean, sort of some of the things I talked to you guys about one last week, held true, right? So, I mean, we false started at the 1-foot line, but there were also a lot of good plays too. So, we just felt like everyone deserved a chance to play, and we wanted to put it on tape. I think sometimes you have to see your team versus other teams to see exactly what you're doing well and not doing well. The old, I don't know if Coach Osborne or Coach Solich said it, but Coach Paterno used to say to us all the time, you make your biggest improvement between week 1 and week 2. So part of that's also kind of refining that and seeing where those guys fit. And, right tackle, we played just Teddy. We didn't play Tyler. So we'll go through this week. I think the good thing is I think everyone knows that we'll rotate. So they all have to have, they all have to have a chance to compete in practice. And as a player, that's all you can really want is a chance to compete. So we graded the tape. And we'll just kind of look at it this week too.
My question, I guess, would have been then, how did it grade out? All we have is is our eyes, and I guess we have like Pro Football Focus and services like that who could help us paint the picture a little bit better and figure out what kind of we saw. And then we have people's reaction to it. So their reaction to it was, you had last week, it was, I believe, the order of tackles was Gatula or Pritchett or Corcoran. This week, it is Gatula or Corcoran or Pritchett. I wouldn't probably read into that just because I'm not a freak weirdo.
No.
But like, I thought during the game that Pritchett was probably the best one, but he false started at the 1-yard line.
Yep.
And that's why he's that. Like, if you're reading into that, that's why he's the third guy on this. I didn't think it was that. I'll say this. I didn't think the gap between Pritchett and Gatula was that big. Like that Pritchett was that much better to make up for the fact that you can't trust him to not false start on the 1-yard line, right? So right now you have these 2 weeks where you kind of, you get to figure some things out. And I don't even know if I don't know if you learn anything off of these 2 weeks. You learn stuff about yourself when you play teams that are a little bit more difficult to play. But Pritchett's got to go out there and prove that he won't do that. You
got to prove to not.
That's it.
Make those small mental mistakes, and that took 4 points away from
It
Nebraska.
It did, and they just about needed them. So like he's got to play it clean next 2 weeks in order to really stay in this conversation. You heard Rhule. They don't want to do that. This is not something that they're like, infatuated with and that they love. I think this was probably part of the plan, that they wanted to do this at the start of the season and then figure it out from there.
Kind of experiment with the 3 different guys through the next 2 weeks and see who could play the most consistent.
Now, here's my thing. Like, maybe they didn't think that game would be as close as it was, or maybe they did. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
see that.
What a weird it's not a weird thing to tell those 3 guys, right? Hey, you're all going to get equal reps in the game. You're all going to get reps in the football game that we're going to play. But it's also an important game and a must-win game and a game where everybody's going to have different challenges and you're all going to be doing different things. So you want them to get different stuff on tape. Like, it makes sense that way. But it's also so odd. Usually if all 3 of them are the same, I'm sorry, or 2 of them, and then there's a third, like, you just pick one. Isn't it sort of weird to rotate through 3 guys inside of one game? I thought it was.
It is.
And I don't, my eyes aren't trained from that perspective to understand exactly, what that might have looked like. But man, I just think that would probably have an effect on the player, the offense, the people around him. I don't know if I like how they did that. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if I like how they set that up for the first game. It didn't cost them, right? And maybe that's part of the plan. Maybe that's part of the thinking the entire way. It didn't cost them a game. It didn't cost them much of anything because they got out of there with a win. Might have cost them 4 points to have Pritchett in that exact moment. But there was a lot of times where they did, super large sets. And I think that was one of them where Pritchett and Gatula were both in at the same time. So I don't know. I don't know if I would have played it that way. And it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell if they think that Pritchett is like better, if not for the false start, if not for the non-trust factor, or if they think they're all the same and Pritchett is the only one with the trust problems, right?
Yeah.
I can't get an accurate read on that. And certainly the reps in the game wouldn't have, if they set out to do that, it didn't change much throughout that period of time because they all played just about equally. It's weird. It was weird how they did it. So like from the 402, says Akron and Houston Christian are the games to rotate guys in our Power 4 team. It's kind of arrogant for Rhule to rotate guys like that against a Power 4 team. Like, so, I mean, if we're reading in, if we're reading into that, does that maybe tell you that they don't think a lot of all 3 of them? And they're just trying to find something that sticks? But if they were trying to find something that sticks, I'm talking myself into a pretzel now. If they were trying to find something that sticks, maybe you just put one guy out there, see how it goes, and, and roll for a little while. That was odd. Like I said, I don't know if it'll cost them, but that was weird. It was weird how they did it that way. And it ended up costing them the yards that one time when they got down to the red zone. So John writes in, he says, I believe Gatula graded the worst of the 3 left tackles. Pritchett needs to get his act together because we don't need Corcoran starting again. Remember, John hates Turner Corcoran. Jeff writes in, he says, I don't like Pro Football Focus, but Pritchett graded out as the best, surprisingly. Scary, but I don't think they have a solid left tackle. That's kind of where I'm at as well. Aaron writes about Pro Football Focus as well. He says, it's weird. Pro Football Focus put Pritchett, it's pretty easily the best, and Gatula was a bit behind him. But man, those penalties in that sack are so bad. Corcoran simply can't see the field unless break glass in case of emergency. But I still recommend you just run out of the building because you are screwed. That's a good way to put it. People are pretty over the Turner Corcoran, game at this point in time. Like, the fact that he's involved there and the fact that he was in the rotational mix and got equal reps in that game doesn't that maybe tell you that they don't necessarily like any of their options at that spot?
I'd probably say they're not too confident at the moment, but they're trying to explore and see what works well with each of them, or if a particular one stands out very consistently, and they'll just stick with that.
They said they graded the tape. I wonder, because I saw the Pro Football Focus numbers. Not that they mean everything, but like the Pro Football Focus numbers sort of mirrored my eyes a little bit in that I didn't think that one of them was that much better than the other ones. I thought Pritchett was the best out of them, but he false started. And I don't know if I'm willing to live with that. Yeah. Like if he's already replacement level and you already have another replacement level left, let's just say that. Let's use WAR in baseball, right? Let's say you have 2 replacement level left tackles and then a third who's been around for a really long time. One of the replacement level left tackles loves false starting and can't stop false starting. And you can't trust them to not false start, even when you're at the 1-yard line. And the other one doesn't screw up very much outside of not being an outstanding left tackle. He's just
not containing the
He's
pass
just
rush.
there. He's just there. He's going to screw up sometimes. He's not going to screw up sometimes. And you could generally trust him that he won't commit penalties and he'll be in the right spot and all that stuff. Who would you rather play? My answer is probably Gatula at this moment. Against Houston Christian and Akron, it's, you keep rotating. Or you just maybe throw Pritchett out there for 55 straight plays and you see how much he cannot false start,
Yeah.
or whatever it might be. It's, you might, that's going to be one to watch. It'll certainly be one to watch when we get into the nitty gritty of the season here. That's for sure. We still have more, by the way, from Matt Rhule, special teams. And then I have a question. Who does this sound like? It's a Matt Rhule clip, but we'll ask, who does it sound like, a little bit later on. We'll also take questions from you all, including on the Equitable Bank inbox, Connor at 1620thezone.com. We got a few texts that we can get to as well. We're back after this. Actually, first, I want to remind you that that fall is just around the corner, and we have basically the equivalent of gold. We're sitting on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2 season passes to Vallis Pumpkin Patch. It's gold as far as I'm concerned. 2 season passes to Vallis Pumpkin Patch, Nebraska's favorite fall attraction. You can enter to win those right now on our website, 1620thezone.com. Hey, look at that, Joey. Put that graphic back up there. Big Red Overreaction coming up this week.
Ooh.
Brought to you by No Name Nutrition, Equitable Bank, variety of others on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
Look at
Following
those two beautiful guys.
Nebraska and Akron. Yes, supermodels Josh and Matt this week on Big Red Overreaction. Coming to you live at what? Probably about 10 o'clock on Saturday night. Ugh.
I would say about 10. About a 10 to midnight show.
Nice.
Produced not by me. I won't be producing it.
Produced by not you. What will we do?
Peter and Jake will handle it.
Okay. All right.
Jake's gonna learn some things from Peter.
Okay.
Like how to get the press conference up on the video stream.
We're not in a Big Red Overreaction left tackle rotation now, are we?
No.
Okay.
No.
You got the rest of them?
I got like 4 more. I got 5 this season. Kind of surprised about that, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
Do you want more or do you want less?
I shouldn't be asking for more. Got to let other people handle the Big Red Overreaction.
So we are in a left tackle rotation situation.
Yeah, we are.
No,
But I'm happy that 2 of the 4 remaining games are, I would say 3 of the 4 remaining games are early kickoffs. I got the Houston Christian, Iowa game, Michigan State. I got the UCLA game. I'm a little concerned for that to be a potential 9:30
super
kickoff.
duper late. Yeah.
I do not want that. So let's cross our fingers.
Okay, Joey. Yeah, I think I only have 2 or 3 this year.
I won't be doing a bowl game, by the way. I'll be somewhere.
You're always somewhere else, Joey.
I'm going to be celebrating the holidays because I'll be here for Thanksgiving.
That's good. You deserve all the time off that you get.
I'll be working off Thanksgiving week because Creighton's going to be down there for basketball, and then
forget.
I'll be working the Iowa Big Red Overreaction.
Okay, all right, we'll rock and roll. We'll get it rolling. Don't worry. However, and by the way, we're not going to have another. We're not going to have another situation like we did. We won't be doing another show from an RV in a park.
Don't worry.
I promise.
Don't worry, callers. The host will be able to have a conversation with you.
Well, you could ask us how we're doing, even though some of the hosts, are like, don't do that anyway. But you could ask me if I'm hosting Big Red Overreaction. You can feel free to ask me how I'm doing. I will say that I'm doing good every single time, and you will learn nothing about my actual mood. But I will I will answer the question.
It could be dependent on the result of the game. Like if the game,
sometimes
bad,
I'll say bad. Yeah. Sometimes I'll say bad.
Or if
but
the game's good,
we'll either be in studio or on the web somewhere. It will be a cleaner operation. We promise. It's the first game for everybody, right?
Indeed, it was.
Get through it. Absolutely. So Big Red Overreaction back and better than ever this week. More coaches yelling at each other today.
Ooh.
Clemson's Dabo Sweeney compares the LSU loss to, quote, a final exam on day 1 of class. Quote, they made a 65. We made a 58. Neither one of us were great. Brian Kelly responded by saying, I don't know if he watched the second half. Or if he watched the second half or he graded hard on us. I thought we were good. We won the game. Yeah, so
sloppy first half for both teams, and then LSU took it up a notch in the second half. And part of it was getting their starting defensive back into the mix.
That's right.
He was suspended for the first half for throwing a punch when he was on, I think, was it Houston or Rice or whoever?
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
The last game of the season with this previous school.
Nice.
Apparently, Dabo Sweeney noticed that and kind of alerted the NCAA.
Very cool.
I think that's what I heard.
Transfer portal never ceases to come through for us.
Pay attention to the small details.
By the way, the AP poll has come out for the week. Should be no surprise to you, although there was some weird debate about this over the last couple of days. Should be no surprise, in my opinion, that Ohio State is the number 1, the new number 1. 55 first place votes for them compared to 7 for Penn State, who beat Nevada 46-11 this weekend. So Ohio State 1, Penn State 2. LSU makes the 6th spot jump to 3 and gets 3 first place votes. Georgia, Miami, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, and South Carolina round out the top 10. So we have 2 We have 3 0-1 teams still in the top 10.
I mean, part of it is you got 3 top 10 matches.
So you lose to as well. Texas losing to Ohio State, Clemson losing to LSU, Notre Dame losing to Miami.
All of them were close games. So
yep. You can't dig too hard for that. Illinois goes up a spot to 11. Iowa State with their, win over K-State last week in Ireland, and then a South Dakota victory, moves up 6 spots to number 16. Let's see. Alabama drops 13 spots.
Amazing. I thought they were going to go down to 18 at the very, very most. And then Florida State gets up to number 14 in the top 25.
I skipped over them.
Yep.
Okay, I apologize. Yes, Florida State all the way up to number 14 for beating Alabama. Let me check on the last time Alabama was ranked number 21. Holy God.
That had to be sometime last season with DeBoer.
Nope. They never got lower than 17 last year.
Got to be probably that 2013 season, 2013 season.
Oh my God. I mean, this AP poll history is absurd.
Because I know Alabama kind of struggled that season, or no, 2012 probably. Because I remember there was a season where they
Joey, it could have been 07. It could have been pre-Saban.
Interesting.
So they were 17 for a week in 2010. That's right. I'm all the way back to 2010.
Wow.
2009, all top 5 the entire year. So 2008, they were preseason number 24. And after that, they never got lower because they ended up, going to the national championship game that year, I think?
2009, they did.
And then 2007, they were still ranked for a variety of different parts that year.
They finished, I think, 7-6 that season, beating Colorado in the Independence Bowl.
That was the year they lost to like UL Monroe, right?
Yep.
So this is their lowest AP poll ranking, according to what I'm looking at, which is just sports reference. This is their lowest AP poll ranking since preseason 2008.
Wow. Talk about a new low for the Tide.
Yeah, no kidding. That is absurd. So they were 17 to finish last season, and then preseason number 8 this year.
Wow.
They are not going to like that, folks.
And their second game this coming week, it's against UL Monroe.
Is it really?
It is a night game on the SEC network. 6:45 if you want to see a potential upset brewing. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. You never know.
Hey, John Butler, Dana Holgerson and John Butler both talked today. John Butler mentioned how actually Dana might have said this. I think it was Dana, that Cincinnati was like the lowest hitting team that they've seen, lowest tackling team, meaning they're going low. So Janiron Bonner out for the season with a torn ACL on an ugly looking play where he fumbled out of bounds in that game. And then remember the play really early. I think it was the first play from scrimmage, or one of the first plays from scrimmage. The first pass, certainly. When the one where Ja'Cory Barney caught it and he got bent backwards, and I was like, oh my God, did he just tear his ACL on the first play of the season? That would have been a complete nightmare. So there was a couple rough tackles in that game, and Nebraska's coaches are looking back at it and they're thinking, man, that was there was a couple of these that probably could have been avoided. Because if luckily enough, Ja'Cory Barney is made out of rubber, so he was okay. He was a little slow after that. Sorry, I have to excuse my friends. He's a little slow, but he was a little slow after that, but he was okay, and he'll be okay. Bonner, not so much, but there's some stuff from the coaching staff from this weekend where they're like, yo, this cannot happen. This was not good. So Nebraska saw, all things considered, really, have we convinced ourselves, as we've done the full range of emotions, have now slept several nights on the game, have heard all the important coaches talk about it, and have seen everybody else play, that we are finally back to square one with just saying, we survived and I'm good. I think that's where you probably need to be if you're a Nebraska fan.
I would
All
say.
things considered, you watched everybody else play. It could have been way worse. You could have had more torn ACLs. You could have had, a variety of different things that could have gone wrong, and ultimately Malcolm Hartzog makes a play and they get out of that with a win. That doesn't mean we can't analyze and think about what's going to happen this week and what they need to get better at and all that stuff. But they got out of there. They survived that.
That's what
And
matters.
They did not survive Ireland 3 years ago. They did not survive.
I don't think anybody did.
They did not survive Minnesota 2 years ago. They did not survive, I guess they survived Colorado.
They didn't survive Champaign, Illinois.
They didn't survive Champaign, Illinois in 21.
Pretty much anything since that Akron rainout 7 years ago from yesterday. They haven't survived really anything in that first
Only
week.
death, no survival. So they survived this one, and maybe ultimately that should be our takeaway.
Yeah, definitely for sure.
One quick question for you, as we play one more clip from Matt Rhule before we get out of here. Who does this sound like?
Went down, a bunch of players and I went down to Bud Crawford's send-off, right? Like, yeah, and yeah, it's pretty cool that you can come to the University of Nebraska and see the pound for pound king is right down the road. He comes to games. I mean, I want all that. I want people to come to our games and stand on the sidelines. I think I think there should be 1,000 people on the sidelines. There should be every former player should be on the sidelines, and as many people as we can. I think people should turn the games on and be like, I want to go check that place out. So, so I'm trying to constantly push all of that as best I can. While at the same time, making sure you're not too busy, but we have plenty of time.
I do like this complete. Remember, feels like it was just yesterday where Matt Rhule and Deion Sanders weren't exactly locking heads, but they were saying the exact opposite things as each other. And that really fueled that first game when they played in 23 in Boulder. And, Matt Rhule, he wants to build the program this way, and Deion wants to build it this way. And I'm sure they still differ in terms of how they want to, quote unquote, build their programs from a football standpoint. But I'll tell you who that sounds like. Deion Sanders.
Yep.
He sounds like Deion.
That's what I was thinking.
I want to put 1,000 people on the sideline. I want to make the coolest event that we could possibly make. I think it looks great for us when I'm on television. I think it's great that I'm doing a podcast because that just means more people are talking about us. I want the recruits to think I'm cool because that means the university's cool. I want, all of that stuff. He has turned himself into, very interestingly, I don't think it's necessarily his personality, although he's a chameleon.
He's willing to adjust and accommodate for what has been going on recently. And
he is adjusting quite a lot.
Yeah.
He has adjusted quite a lot. So,
and give Deion his roses because he's doing everything he can and it's working. He got all the spotlight he's wanted right now, but not for only him, but for the school.
Yeah. And now they got football problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Now they do.
Now they got football problems.
The result matters
because their quarterback is very different from the quarterback that they've had over the last 2 years. And the fact that their quarterback is basically exclusively a runner.
Yeah. And their defense is still not good,
and
especially against the run.
Don't know how to use timeouts in the right times.
Poor clock management.
There's that piece of it too. Matt Rhule becomes Deion Sanders and Deion Sanders becomes Matt Rhule. This is very, very weird. I don't know how this will work out. We'll come back. We don't have any polls today, but we will tell you what to watch.
Yes, we do.
When we come back on 1620 The Zone. By the way, never even mentioned this when we talked about the AP poll from before. Nebraska, 13 votes. Joey, do we know what that is compared to last week's?
It was about 23.
Okay.
It was about 23 because I think the guy from San Jose.
Yeah, the AP
put
poll
Nebraska
tracker
at
is
number
not
18.
up yet. Yeah.
2, 3, 4. Because in the preseason poll, he put Nebraska at number 18, if I remembered.
So they come in as the equivalent of 35th in the AP poll this week. So that might dash our ranked on ranked dreams for Michigan, Nebraska.
I knew Nebraska was not going to get in there. And if they got a little closer, I don't think with these 2 games coming up, they were going to be in the top 25 because they're inferior opponents. Akron's not good, and Houston Christian's out of the FCS.
Yeah, they're probably not gonna move now. They would have had to smash Cincinnati in order to get close. So the dream is dead. It'll be an unranked Huskers.
Beat Michigan, you could be there for
will be there.
week 5 or 6.
Yes. All right, Joey, what are we watching tonight since we have no polls?
Okay, not a whole lot going on, but you got the MLB. We're in the final month of the regular season. Angels Royals tonight at 6:40.
Yes, we need it. It's time to go. There's no more losing series. It's time to go. 2.5 games out. It's go time.
And over on TBS at 7:10, you got the Yankees and Astros. They're kind of neck and neck in their placement currently in the league. Over in the WNBA, if you're interested, the Fever, Caitlin Clark and the Fever going down to Phoenix.
Not Caitlin Clark though.
Well, yeah, she's not playing.
Yeah,
but against Phoenix Mercury at 9 on NBA TV. We got the U.S. Open in tennis. The quarterfinals started today. We got a couple of matches going on right now. Alcaraz is leading in the second set, but later tonight in the women's, you got the number 1 overall seed, Arina Sabalenka out of Belarus, squaring off against Marketa Bondrousova from the Czech Republic.
There we go, Joey. Thank you for trying. Also, you are kind of a tennis guy. You had some tennis takes earlier.
Yeah, I like to sit around and watch tennis. It's kind of stress free. Just it's nice. It's nice every once in a while to watch it.
Oh yeah.
That's over at 6 on ESPN, and then the men's tonight at 7:30. Also on ESPN, you got the 7th ranked Novak Djokovic out of Serbia scoring off against the USO number 4 Taylor Fritz. See who could get to the semifinals.
Wow.
Fritz is looking to become the first American in a certain amount of time. I don't know the last time when it happened, but just to win a men's Grand Slam representing the States.
When would have been the last American to win the U.S. Open? Would have been Roddick? Probably Roddick.
Probably
Roddick won it in the early two. Andy Roddick won it in 2003.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it is. All right. Thank you, Joey.
Yeah, thanks, Connor.
Thanks for being here. That's what we're watching tonight, and that is the show. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover is coming up next.